I was waiting on you.
Hey, Mark said he was waiting on me. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Game Junction Podcast, episode 115. Sorry for making everybody wait. We were trying to get some last-minute promo out, but how's your week been, Mark?
Really crappy would be the G way to say it, not the PG-13. Really busy. So busy, I didn't even get the Anime Junction Cast podcast up in time.
I'm super disappointed in you. I was very
I know,
upset.
but
Hurt my
I told Brent
feelings.
I told him on the positive side that well, he wanted to get back an episode ahead, so they're probably looking back an episode ahead. So
that's the one
at this point.
downside of doing like a live podcast is that really can't be ahead. So it's like if something comes up, it sucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which stuff comes up
from
time
Friday.
to time.
If this was like on a Tuesday, it'd be much more of a pain. But like on a Friday, usually most people don't want to do a lot of stuff on Friday, so it's pretty easy to not have to work late or have random crap kind of come up.
Yeah, for sure.
It happens, just not that often.
And went shout out to Gamer Freak, said hey over there on the Twitch. Also got Paul Jean said hey guys, hi Mark, and over on the YouTube.
Welcome. I meant to ask, how's it going over there? I know y'all got a lot of snow, and then you're getting a few more inches. What, this weekend?
It's snowing right now. It's snowing like crazy right now.
It hasn't snowed here in well, it snowed like 3 times in the past week, but that's what we're talking, like a 10-minute dusting, and that's it.
Let's put it this way: it was so bad that got snowed in, could not get my car out, and I didn't want us coming to work anyway because it was just too bad. But I could not get out. I couldn't get out. I was trying for 15 minutes and I could not get out. And so I had worked from home all week.
Yeah, I saw some of that stuff that my parents sent me. I was like, oh wow, like level 3 emergency. I'm like, if that snowed here, like they'd just be like, give yourself extra time to get to work. I'll see you when you get in.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean,
getting like 6 inches is not abnormal here. So.
Yeah, it was crazy. We got a lot, but now what sucks is that the roads that obviously like parts like country and like in town is fine and stuff like that, but some roads don't get plowed or salted at all, and then it's just turned to straight ice. So
yeah,
like where I'm at, all the roads are just straight ice, and which sucks. We're getting snow on top of it again, so now it's just making it worse.
Well, actually, that would be. If you got enough snow, like if you got a few inches, it'd probably be better because then you have some traction. Because what they do, a lot of it, especially out here in the Mountain West, a lot of them will just they'll dump. They use salt, but because it's super cold, a lot of times it gets below 15, and then you have like 30, 40, 50-mile-an-hour winds on top of it. The salt's just ineffective in those kind of conditions.
Yeah.
So they'll dump a lot of sand, especially in town. Which not necessarily for the eye, doesn't necessarily prevent ice, though sometimes it's so cold it doesn't really snow. And I know this has nothing to do with video games. I don't want to talk about this, but the sand will help with traction to some degree. So they use a lot of sand out here.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Like I even tried doing the whole cat litter trick and everything to get some traction there with the tires, and I couldn't do it. It just didn't work. So, but. I mean, I always keep a bag of that cheap cat litter for that reason every winter because I mean, usually it comes in handy, but I couldn't get out. So, but then the kid didn't have school the entire week. So obviously,
I figured if you're getting like 4 or 5, 6 inches, it's pretty much shuts down that
happened when we were kids, how that school is. They cancel school for everything. So like all the way to the end of the week was canceling and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God.
And that was like right at the end of I assume y'all's holiday break. So it's just like whole extra week off of school.
Yeah. And I'm like trying to work from home, kids home. This is impossible. This is not working out.
Now you're on the other side of the snow day. We're like, this is great. Bugging your parents. And now you're like, oh.
Yeah, I know. We loved it back then, but man, if you have to end up working from home, it'd be different if it was just like, you have to be on the job. So like there is no like remote work possible. That'd be a little bit different, but they're like, nope, you're working remote. So you got to get that stuff done.
Back then it's like, you might go out and shovel, but it's like you get all the kids in the neighborhood's like, all right, we're going to go shoveling, or we're just going to play outside all day in the snow. So
yeah,
a lot of good memories with that.
Obviously not to do with video games, but anyway, still talking about the week. Did you see the Snow Angel Challenge stuff?
No, I did not know.
Okay, so it was like must have been a pretty centralized thing like here in Ohio, but essentially the challenge is you go outside. For guys, it's in your boxers. You go out, jump in, do a snow angel real quick in the snow, and then try to jump back in real quick. So recorded that. I didn't do it in my boxers because my daughter was the one recording me. So it still went out. It was still cold as hell. Went out and did that, and then she went out and did. I recorded her doing it. It was hilarious. Just really, really funny. I put it. It's on Facebook. I shared it on the Game Junction page too, just because I thought it was so funny. But I shared it there and on my Brandon Hurles account on Facebook. So if you guys want to check that out, it's pretty hilarious. But
yeah, over here acting like it's 15 degrees is cold.
I'm thinking, well, get out of here! What are you talking about? Yeah, tell me when you've hopped in the snow. When's the last time you just laid in the snow and rolled in it?
I don't have the clothing for that anymore, so
bro.
I don't do
the
it.
Challenge is no clothes, so that's a challenge.
Yeah, so why would I do it?
I don't know.
Like, if I did that,
it was funny, actually. It was something fun with the daughter.
Okay, it's 4 inches of snow. I live in an apartment complex, so it's already a problem there. And then it's like, oh yeah, it's like 20-mile-an-hour wind, so you got like a wind chill that's like 5 degrees outside. You're gonna have to like freeze to death in like minutes. I don't know
if you have kids, you do stupid things sometimes. Made her laugh, so I was like, I was worth it, whatever,
No, 15 is not bad, but you have to add like 30-mile-an-hour winds on top of that 15, so you have like -5 wind chill outside, Mr. Coffee.
Yeah. Snow rules. Mark stop. 15 isn't bad. We also had wind chill, and the snow's cold, man. So
just remember, it's not the heat that gets you. It's the humidity. I saw a meme like that. I couldn't stop myself.
I saw a lot of memes where, I don't hear anybody complaining about when it's, 95 degrees out and, all that stuff. And I'm thinking, I would rather the heat than.
That's what I say. I get both sides of it. I get both the 95 in the summer, though it's a dry heat, so it's durable.
Yeah, you get that
then
dry
I also
heat.
get like I get that negative 10, -20 in like February. So
but when you get that 95 humid heat, it's unbearable. That's where it's
both.
like
I've experienced 90s, 100s in both in a dry and humid environment, and it's far worse when it's humid outside.
Yeah, way worse when it's humid. Like it was 108 when we went to Arizona last year, but obviously it's dry heat, so it's just a different type of heat. Yeah, more tolerable.
Harder to tell when you're dehydrated, but it's more tolerable on the outside. You're not just drenched in sweat.
I was both like kind of surprised how hot it was, because it didn't. Well, it felt hot. It felt hot, but it was just like it's such a different heat than what I'm used to. You know what I mean? So it was just a way different thing. So
then it gets down to 70. You're like, I'm cold. I need to put a sweatshirt on, even though it's like 70 degrees outside.
No doubt. All right, I guess we'll go ahead and dive into what we got going on this week. So a lot happened this week. It's been a pretty crazy week with gaming and pop culture. We threw some stuff together here with the notes, and there's been a lot of stuff. So
yeah, because you had CES just happened this past week. So
yeah, CES, big thing. Obviously, Switch 2 stuff. I mean, you can't, if you're in the gaming sphere at all, there's no way that you didn't see at least some of the stuff that came out just today alone, not even counting the whole week. But yeah, there's just been a ton of stuff. So we're gonna go over some of that. I guess we're gonna get started with the small news. I thought this was pretty cool. This is something I'm gonna grab. I'm pretty excited about. So 4 years later, so we knew about this for a while. I was kind of wondering. I thought it was just a scrapped project at this point, but the My Arcade's Super Retro Champ is coming out. So it's a I say portable. It's not like you can put it in your pocket, but it is a portable system that plays both Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo, and it has a built-in screen. So I'm like, that's really, really cool, because like, first of all, we both love Super Nintendo. I love Sega Genesis too, and I've got the EverDrive, so like that's perfect for me, because I can throw the EverDrives in there and play literally the entire catalogs for both those systems. There is already one of these out that plays just NES games, which I still haven't gotten yet. I need to get it. It's been on my list forever since it came out to grab, because it's like, that's, one of the better ways for me to play NES. I like having the the little portability if I want to lay down or something and play, or if I just want to have a little, don't want to mess with the CRT or whatever. It's a good way to play. So,
I just have to say, just because you said it, and it immediately popped in my head. Was it Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis? When I was dead broke, I couldn't picture this.
All right, Biggie, get out of here.
Just R.I.P.
You wish you had a rap career.
That you said that and immediately popped in my head.
I wonder too, like that went through their head making this, because it's like, you did a 2-in-1. They did it just an NES one of this, but then did a Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis one, which is really cool because like for the NES one, they could have did Master System too, do 2 8-bit consoles, the Sega and the Nintendo, and they didn't do that, unfortunately. But no, I think it's pretty cool. They're keeping it at a cheap price point. It was originally going to be, because it was only supposed to play Super Nintendo, if I remember correctly. Now they added on that it's going to play Sega Genesis as well. So it was supposed to be like 110, I think, but I think now they're targeting at 150, which I think it's very fair price in today's market. I think that's a super fair price for that. Have a portable unit like that plays 2 different systems. I think that's really, really cool. So yeah, that's something It's
got a more robust stand than the OG Switch.
Yeah,
so.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, the stand, man, they did it right on this one. I don't know what Nintendo was thinking with that Switch stand, bro. I really don't.
They obviously weren't thinking.
No, they weren't.
That's why they fixed it when you had the OLED model come out. You're like, an actual proper stand.
Yeah, the one down
still doesn't fix the problem with the charging port at the bottom, but
yeah, I know. The one downfall I know with this, which was one reason I held off on the NES one, I'm still gonna grab it. But it uses software emulation for this, so it takes the ROM from your cartridge and then emulates it on the device. So it's not FPGA, it's not playing it directly from the cartridge. It's just taking that ROM and then running it through software and playing it. So you're not going to have like 1-to-1 accuracy. There might be like a little hiccup here or there in some games, things like that. Most people, 99% of people, won't care. If you're a weirdo like me, I do care about stuff like that, but I still plan on grabbing this. I mean, I still think it's cool, and I think the price point's a good price point for it. It makes sense. So,
yeah, but I mean, I guess talking about the old Nintendo consoles. Well, we didn't get anything official as far as like what you can expect it to look like, price tag, anything official, other than that it's coming. In October of 2025, we're getting a Lego Game Boy collaboration coming.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, they've done the NES, they've done the Atari 2600, they've done.
Yeah, you're probably looking like something like about
Xbox 360.
I would assume.
Yeah, I'm guessing these are like the high end collectible ones. Like the NES one, I still didn't get. Like, I still want it. It's just the price point was like, just couldn't justify the price point.
Well, Legos are expensive.
Lego's expensive brand, but for Game Boy, even if the price point's up there, I'll make an exception because Game Boy means a little bit more to me than the NES does. I love the NES.
I actually had a Game Boy. I didn't have an NES growing up, so
I love the NES. Don't get me wrong, but like the Game Boy, I feel like this is going to do something special, kind of like the NES did, where it had like the rolling TV thing and was playing Super Mario Brothers like on the TV and stuff like that. This is probably going to do something unique. To me, this appeals to me even more than the NES did. So I definitely want to grab this, but this was not the expected Nintendo news people were wanting this week. So that's where I saw it lumped in. People were all like, "This is cool, but this is not the console that we were waiting for."
Yeah, it feels like over like the past month or so, it's like every time you get like this is great, but like this is not
always
what
happens.
You want. Nintendo's just like they're just like keep teasing you and teasing you and tease you. Like they want to drag out this announcement as long as possible because they know everyone's waiting for it.
Oh yeah.
So every time they come out and say something, it's like this is cool, but it's not the one thing that I want. Announce that, then you can announce this, and I'll be happy with all of it.
But I was a little shocked to see that. It's kind of cool though. It's a pretty neat idea. I like it.
I guess shocking, but not surprising, considering that this is not the first time they've teamed up with Lego. So hopefully,
they're teaming up for all kinds of stuff now because you got obviously you got the Mario, but you got Animal Crossing now. You got obviously they did the big Mario question block set. Yeah. So
hopefully, at least as far as like this specific little collector stuff with the NES and now the Game Boy, hopefully they start you because I don't think they've done anything else other than the NES. So,
No,
eventually you get,
yeah.
like, all the retro consoles, so you get the 64, you get the GameCube, Game Boy Color, I just
Mega
want all the consoles
Bloks,
Lego form.
I almost bought it. The only reason I didn't buy this was because it sold out and was a good deal. I think it's normally 150 and it went down to like $60. But Mega Bloks did the Xbox 360. Do you remember that? They did that last year, and it dropped down in price. I went to go get it, and it sold out. I couldn't grab it in enough time, so I was a little bummed about that. Because again, I didn't grab that because of the price point. I just didn't like the price point. But I was like at $60 for that, the novelty of it. I love the Xbox 360. That's really cool. But yeah, I think it's Mega Bloks that did it. Or one of the other block companies put that together, but it's really cool because it came with like a little mini case for Halo and like the controller and everything. Like it was really neat. But yeah. So. And then we've got, this is a brand new news as of, I think, when was this? Yesterday or the day before?
Yeah, January
8th.
January 8th. So yeah. 2 days ago.
So, 𝐒𝐤𝐢𝐚𝐥 on X said the world's first affordable FPGA gaming console inspired by the PlayStation 1 supports PS1 games, memory cards, and controllers, analog and digital output, NFC, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. It's Mr. FPGA compatible, and disk support is not pictured, so there's an extra component you can buy to play original discs on it too. But it is FPGA, so most people aren't going to care about playing the discs if they play that disc the exact same way. FPGA is going to play the same way that the disc would play. So most people aren't going to care. I will for my physical games when I get that extra thing, but this kind of came out of nowhere because like when you think of these FPGA consoles like this, you think of analog, really? Like it's the only one that comes to mind because Chromatic, Mod Retro did the Chromatic handheld, the Game Boy Color. But other than that, really all you think about is analog. I mean, analog, yeah, I've got the analog 3D on pre-order that comes out sometime next couple months, the analog Pocket here. And they've obviously done the Mega SG and Super NT and all that stuff. So all those FPGA consoles that play the way the original consoles play. So this is kind of coming from a different, this is coming from this person. I thought this was really, really cool. So this is the same company that did they made the OLED screens for the Nintendo Switch Lite. And then also now they have I think it's called the Super 7 OLED screen, whatever, but it's the OLED screens for the Nintendo Switch Lite and its touchscreen as well, stuff like that. So it's like an upgrade. You can upgrade your Switch and stuff. But yeah, really, really cool. So like some of it says that comes with 2 PS1 controller ports, 2 PS1 memory card ports, 1 YC for light gun, micro SD, 3 USB Type A, 1 Type C for power, HDMI, DIN 10 VGA component, composite, Ethernet, 3.5 millimeter analog audio, and TOS link digital audio. So this has absolutely everything to the gills. And this is for the Founders edition of it, for the starting price, it's going to be $150, which is incredibly reasonable. I think after that, I don't remember if he put the price out, what the standard price is going to be after the Founders editions of these are sold out. I think it's $200 or $250. But the Founders editions are signed by the whole team on the inside of the case, which is really cool. Yeah, I think this is really awesome news because I had a strong feeling that, and I think they still are going to do one. Analog is going to do like a PS1 because they're doing the 64 now, and they haven't, besides the Analog Duo for the TurboGrafx CD, they hadn't really messed with CD technology yet for FPGA. Yeah. But I have a strong feeling that after the Analog 3D, PS1 was next. So I still think they're going to do that, but I'll absolutely grab this. I think it's really, really cool. That's a great way to be able to experience a console. Obviously, you've got literally every output, HDMI down all the way, to composite. FPGA, anything like that just screams my name. Being able to play it the way that it was originally intended to be played is really cool. So there's no emulation involved, and I do like that they are having the extra add-on for CDs, actual CDs. So I think it's pretty cool.
No, I agree. I think it's really dope. The more we get as far as like just keeping retro games alive, you just love to see it.
Yeah, for sure. Pamela over on Facebook said that sounds cool. Mr. Coffee said maybe build one with brand parts. All we need is just the manual. And also said Game Boy is just the ultimate nostalgia for me. Johnny said, hey guys. Mr. Coffee said Game Boy Light is pretty good. Runs on less batteries and longer. Yeah, it's good stuff for sure.
To be fair, back then you didn't care. You just wanted that backlight.
Yeah, for sure. What do we got next?
For the car rides.
Yeah.
Marvel Rivals is doing fantastic because, like, I guess it's like a two-parter. Obviously, the big thing is starting today, the 10th of January. Fantastic Four drops.
Yeah.
So that's four new characters to an already massive lineup of characters.
Yeah.
Which and they all, we were talking about before we went live, all these characters play so different.
Yeah.
So there's such a different way that you could play these games based on, it's not just like a reskin, but every character kind of plays the same and feels the same outside of one unique ability. They wholesale feel different, which I think just it's fun, but it adds like a new level of complexity, especially like if you were looking at this game competitively. How different characters play, they're so different. So it makes the mixing and matching better, as well as obviously there's certain bonuses by playing characters that are from the same universe or the same, I guess, sub IP.
I still haven't even played every character yet because I've been playing it. I mean, we played it on stream, but I played it myself too quite a few times. Like if I have like 10 minutes or something, I'll boot up a game of that. Like it's just the quickest and easiest thing to boot up to play because the matches aren't long. I still haven't played every character yet, but every character I played plays so entirely differently. It's like trying to relearn the game with each character. So it's like, I think what so far the character for me with what I played, maybe the 10 characters I played with so far, is Squirrel Girl. I've just found that at first I was kind of making fun of it because I was like, why would you want to use a slingshot in the game like this? But actually, like what I do is I kind of stand in the back. I go as far as I possibly can away from everybody, and I just launch the acorns and kill a ton of people.
She's definitely a distance player. Someone you don't want to be up front. She's not that melee.
Yeah,
I just like the feeling because it's swap it out. Obviously, I'm kind of biased. I like playing as the shark character.
Oh,
didn't know he existed until this game.
Yeah, I like him too, but I can't figure him out. I still don't know how to throw people off the edge. That pisses me off so bad. By the way,
that's his ultimate.
I haven't figured out how. Okay, it's his ultimate, so I guess I know how to do it, but I haven't done it. But that pisses me off so bad when people do that to me. There's been a few times I've rebounced back. You can't, but most of the
unless
time
unless he kamikazes with all of you in the near.
If he launches you far enough, you ain't coming back. But there's been a few times that I have come back from it, which has been cool.
But I do have to say it because it came up because you picked Squirrel Girl as your favorite character, and the first thing I thought of was the Aku meme from Samurai Jack, where he's like with the phone, extra thick. That fits.
She's
Squirrel
a thick girl for
perfectly.
sure. Yeah, no, there's this real. I hate microtransactions. I hate all that stuff. But there's this really cool Japanese outfit for Squirrel Girl that I've been like on the fence about because I'm like, I play this game enough. I kind of like it. It's cool. It's a old school Japanese skin for Squirrel Girl, and I'm kind of getting tired of the way she looks now. So I've been on the fence. I've thought about it, but it would cost me like over 50. You can't buy the exact amount that you need for that, which is annoying. You can't just like buy the exact amount. You've got to buy like a certain amount of tokens and then like buy a small amount of tokens to equal the tokens that you need. But that's the one thing obviously I don't like, but it's free to play, so like I can't complain about it. The game's fun. I mean, it's everything you could want from a game like this.
And then because there was another article, but the numbers are already irrelevant. So as of 2 minutes ago, this game hit another concurrent player peak record. As of 2 minutes ago, the game's hit 592,881 concurrent players just on Steam alone.
Wow,
that is crazy. Because as of right now, it's the second most popular game behind Counter-Strike 2, which is sitting at 601,000. I mean, to be fair, that game peaked at like 1.3 million in the last 24 hours. But I mean, Counter-Strike's like one of the most popular games that's out there, especially with the competitive. So this game is like breaking the doors off of records.
It's
like,
crazy.
Hey, AAA industry, this is how you make a game.
And
it's not that hard.
And obviously, it's not just an English developer, so that's
it's a Chinese developer, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like half and half, right? Like it's a Chinese developer.
Let's just say there's all 50 Concord players are really salty about this game.
Yeah,
I've seen a few people talking about that on YouTube and stuff like that.
Can't say.
But like, to be fair, if Concord had just made this style of game, it would have been successful. But they didn't.
There was a lot that went wrong with Concord, and like that's not to say that I didn't play it, so I can't say whether it was a good or bad game. But
I'll make this claim and stand by it. This is probably the most successful Marvel IP since Endgame.
I agree with that.
I'll stand by it. It's just how long has it been since Marvel was like this?
Well, what's crazy popular is the whole Fantastic Four thing, right? Is like a tie-in with the Fantastic Four movie stuff. So that's in the article, right?
How many good Fantastic Four movies have we had?
We've had 3 really bad movies. But my hope is that I hope that changes because they're great characters. It's a great story. Like the comics are good. Fantastic Four is a good team of characters, but it's just never serialized into a movie well. I don't know. I mean, you could. There is argument that 3 attempts isn't a lot of attempts, especially when it comes to
to be fair, 2 of those
very comic booky
characters.
They're very comic booky characters, if that makes sense. Like they're very.
They work better in the comic book form than they do action on the live screen.
Yeah, and then you have like what when translated over to movies would be seen as kind of maybe silly suits, but like. They're also very old characters, so
But to be fair, but it's worked with other characters, and I think that.
Well, look how long it took with Wolverine to actually put him in a suit, and then it worked. It was great.
But you look at the old '90s X-Men animated series where they were still in those goofy suits, and that's a really popular show. It's not a movie, but it did well.
Well, I don't
TV.
think they're goofy in animation or in comic books. I think they look perfect.
The bright yellow outfit is kind of goofy, but it makes sense in comic books because you need the colors to pop, obviously.
Yeah, you got to pop off the page for sure.
So you can see kind of that stuff where it makes sense in one medium, but not necessarily in the other.
I do not agree with that at all, Mr. Coffee. He says, the first 2 Fantastic Four still holds up. That is a load if I've ever heard one. That is not hold up, especially Rise of the Silver Surfer. Oh my God. What a dreadful movie that was. Holy crap. I went to the theater and saw all 3 Fantastic Four movies. I was let down as a kid seeing those Fantastic Four movies. I was so let down. Especially Rise of the Silver Surfer, because I love Silver Surfer. He's such a cool character. Like he's such a big, massive character. Like he's really important. He's like a really important character in the Marvel universe.
And I was like, they did bad with the. Like I get it's probably for some of a lot of these actors it was early on in their career, but it's not a bad lineup of
Jessica Alba, man, like that was great. Like
Ioan Gruffudd, Jessica Alba, Chris Evans, and Michael Chiklis, or how do you say his name?
Chris Evans,
like, these are all really
then reprises his role, as Captain America later in the MCU, and it's like,
didn't he also reprise the same role in the Deadpool Wolverine movie?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I love the callback, and then obviously it's like, oh, he's gone. Like, oh, we don't have the budget to keep him any longer. But I do like he reprised that role.
There's so much funny stuff with the Marvel movies, like predating MCU, because like obviously you had the Deadpool Wolverine fight in X-Men Origins Wolverine, which was funny because they later talk about that and stuff.
It's not even the same Deadpool.
It's not. What was Ryan Reynolds?
That's the funny thing, though. It's the same actors, but in
it's
a
not the
terrible
same.
movie.
Yeah, like there was a horrible
but they're acting the same
interpretation
characters
of,
again.
yeah.
The fact that
It was a
the precursor
really
to what
bad
eventually became.
interpretation of Deadpool, though, if you ask me, because that's nothing like
They
Deadpool.
sewed his mouth shut.
I know, which makes no sense, being that Deadpool's Deadpool. But yeah, then you had Blade and stuff. So with Ryan Reynolds with that, and you know, all that stuff. So I always thought that was kind of funny.
As a nostalgia movie, it was like a 10 out of 10 for me for the Deadpool Wolverine, just the amount of nostalgia.
Can you believe that Wesley Snipes is coming back, though, as Blade? I think that's pretty cool, because he's such a cool character, man.
I like Wesley Snipes as an actor. He's done a lot of good
he's
movies.
Great. Tax evasions or not,
I'm sorry. It's a white collar crime. Nobody cares. It's a victimless crime. Who cares about the federal government? But I mean, you think of Blade, like you think of Wesley Snipes, and to be fair, and I agree with it, the modern MCU really traces its origins back to Blade. That's like one of the early, real dark, gritty action hero movies. I mean, you kind of had that with some of the Batman from the 80s, but those were also kind of goofy in the 80s and 90s with the Batman and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think of like Batman Returns was a pretty dark movie. I mean, it was really dark, especially for the time. It was, you know, there was some goofy bits, but of those Batman movies, it was the least goofy. It was a dark movie, like dark as in it was like actually dark during the movie, and it was also like, you know, just very dark themed. It was not made for kids. And
yeah, because just because I want to say the original Blade movie came out in '98, grossed $70 million at the U.S. box office, 131 worldwide. So it was really the first precursor to what the modern MCU is like. You could tell a dark, gritty comic book movie and it be successful, and with it not being like Batman or Superman, or I'm sorry, Batman and Superman are not Marvel. They're
DC.
They're DC.
Yeah.
But it's still the same thing. That you think about comic book movies. That's really when you transition from a goofy-ish to really getting dark, gritty, and serious, like all the way through. Even if Blade 3 is kind of goofy.
Trinity, yeah, it's a little goofy, but yeah, I mean those first two Blade movies really good, very dark, very just good movies, man. I mean, Wesley Snipes is a hell of an actor for one, and it was just a perfect casting for that character. Just truly was. It was a perfect casting. So like to have him come back,
wasn't it like right after this you get into the X-Men movies, you get the Fantastic Four movies. It's hit or miss. Then you get Iron Man and stuff like that, and then stuff starts to fall into place after that. Yeah,
because X-Men was like, he was kind of. I still like the original X-Men, but like if you go back,
if you go back to those three,
if you go back and watch, they don't hold up nearly as well. But I think that I like X-Men 2 as well. Again, it's not a great
X3,
movie.
It's the problem. If you get rid of X3 or do that storyline better, because they've always struggled with that storyline in every movie they've done it in.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily hate most of the X-Men movies. It's really X3 and then the Wolverine Origins movies. They're really the only two terrible
I'll tell you
movies.
what the worst X-Men, and I can't, it's so bad I can't even remember the title. It's the worst X-Men movie.
I don't know how you can say Wolverine Origins isn't the worst X-Men movie.
The two worst, sorry. Dark Phoenix and the New Mutants. The New Mutants, nobody even knows about that, and that was the last one to come out. It's the newest of the X-Men movies. Besides Deadpool,
Dark
Wolverine.
Phoenix, because it's the same thing they did with X3, and they just didn't do it for whatever reason. That storyline with what's it, Jean is her name? They just can't do her well. They can't do that storyline well. The animated series was able to do it, but the actual movies, it's always done bad. But outside of those three movies, I think most of them are pretty well. Granted, Hugh Jackman really carries those movies, to be fair.
He for sure carries.
He's just a really good actor.
Yeah, he is a really. Hey, shout out to Lucas for coming in here. Thanks for hanging out, man. We appreciate it. Mr. Coffee said, go back and rewatch him compared to Eternals and Shang-Chi. The FF movies are great comic. I mean, if you're comparing them to the Eternals, which was a god-awful, horrible Marvel thing that should have never happened. If you're comparing it to like those, I mean, like it's I've rewatched them. Like I've actually intentionally rewatched them and owned them. So like I'm not saying they're like the worst things in the world, because I like Fantastic Four. I like the property. I just don't think they were a great portrayal in movies
No,
for them.
but I think
I will say the 2015 Fantastic Four is just absolutely dreadful. There's no redeeming quality to that movie.
I'll say this: if you're gonna measure it to other movies, you need to measure it to the movies that came out around the same time. Because you look at what 3 years later, you had Iron Man in 2008, and it just blows it off the door as far as just a movie, not even a comic book movie. It's just so much better.
Are you talking about Iron Man?
You look at
1?
what it came out around. Yeah, came out 2008.
Yeah.
I think even the original X-Men movie is better. And that came like what around before it or.
X-Men came out way before Iron Man.
X-Men came out in 2000.
Right?
So the first two, because X-Men 2000, X2 2003. I guess if you compare it to The Last Stand that came out a year later, they're kind of on par. But if you can compare it to some of the other ones, it's kind of hit or miss. I think it's better than Last Stand. It's obviously better than Origins. That
Last
came out in
Stand was the worst of the trilogy, if you will. But
this is also a time period where comic book movies are still trying to find their footing because Iron Man didn't come out to 2009. And then you have the MCU itself really starts taking off.
Which
there. That's really where they found their proper.
Here we are going into these deep, dark rabbit holes again, which is fine. But
this
is what we do sometimes. If you think about it, Iron Man was not a big character. He was not one. He is now. You think about it now, and you wouldn't think that there would be no MCU without him realistically. But Iron Man as a character, until that movie came out, Iron Man was not a big character. He wasn't. He didn't sell comics like that. He wasn't a big comic seller. You had like the animated Iron Man series that was super silly, where his suit was in a briefcase. You had like some other things for Iron Man that would kind of nostalgic. But Iron Man itself as a character was not big. It was not a big character, so it was like kind of taking a chance. Like that felt like they're taking a chance with this character because in the grand scheme of things, he wasn't a big character whatsoever. He truly wasn't.
First movie did. I remember watching that as a kid in theaters. And that's like my legit first experience.
Like he had some great arcs in comics, but like he was never a big character. And like Doomsday was always
MCU did that character a lot of justice.
It definitely did. I mean, it blew that character up. Became one of the biggest Marvel characters now that, one of the most recognizable, probably, period now, if you think about it.
I would say with Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man.
I can't think of anyone that's more recognizable to like a kid or something now.
That's another one of those. It's the right casting, the right casting for the right role, and it just fits perfectly.
Yeah, and it's also such a cool backstory with Robert Downey Jr. because like he was like in and out of jail and stuff, and had like problems and stuff back in the day. And Iron Man, they really took a chance because if you go back and I've gone back and done a little research, watched some stuff, things like that, and like they really took a chance. People did not want him for that role. Like a lot of people were against him for that role. They said did not make sense. He is not. People were saying he was not a good guy. So like that was really his redemption story, kind of too, because I mean, entirely different person than he was back in the day. I mean, and that everybody changes over time, stuff like that. But it's like it was kind of like a redemption arc for him. Like it was, and he even says that. Like on the Joe Rogan podcast, he's talked about that.
That was nice. I'm losing you.
Oh, you're frozen. Yeah, he's frozen. All right, so we got Mr. Coffee said correct. Stan Lee wanted to create the opposite of Bruce Wayne. Got Gamer Freak says hello, Mark. Was the X-Men movies more based off of Bruce? Or wait, where did we go there? John Burge. Yeah, it was. Iron Man 1 still holds up. Yeah, holds up very well. I think Mark's back in here. We got. Oh, now I'm frozen. Not sure what's going on there. Let me check. Make sure we're still good. Looks like it says I'm loading in. Let me turn my camera on and off real quick. Not sure what's going on there. Sorry, guys.
Can you hear me, Brandon?
I can hear you now. Yeah. Not sure what happened there. That was really weird.
I just completely lost you. You just froze, and you'd periodically.
You froze too. You
Yeah, I was
froze
like,
too.
oh, okay, Discord's being,
Yeah,
dumb. I was like, I'm not dropping any frames. So I'm like, it's not the internet's not the problem, because if my internet went to crap, I'd start
yeah.
dropping
I didn't
all
drop
sorts
any
of
frames
frames.
either, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but yeah, just I guess catch up.
Yeah, but
Gamer Freak said Blade Rules, Mr. Coffee, also Wesley, uh, is a legit black belt artist. Yeah, I didn't know that.
yeah. He's in the
Slave the
martial
Mind
arts.
was saying, hey, Gamer Freak. Oh, I'm redeeming nothing. These, but oh, sorry, Gamer Freak. No, that stuff's disabled for the podcast. Sorry about that. Mr. Coffee, wasn't the X-Men movie more based on the John Byrne comic story arc of X-Men?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that's a question for Braden.
Yep.
Yeah, it said Mr. Coffee, correct. Sam Lee wanted to create the opposite of Bruce Wayne. It saved his career. Iron Man 1 still holds up. Matt Long saying, I got just got back. He just got back from Vegas.
Oh
And
yeah,
then,
he went
Palmer
to
said, "Yo, what's up?"
CES. He went to CES.
Yeah, that's insane.
I know. I said that's one of my dreams. I said one of my
Congratulations.
dreams to go CES, and it was E3. Obviously that's not gonna happen now, but what next year I would like to make it a goal to maybe make it out to CES. I would love to go out there and do some live coverage. It'd be cool to go live out there and
Don't lie. Brandon just wants to gamble. It's okay. We understand.
you know what? Whatever. Mark didn't even do a Twitch story, so there's that. So I have to.
Sorry, I was trying to get a bunch of stuff pulled, and then we talk X-Men for like a half hour.
Oh, get out of here. All right. What's next topic? I'm gonna get a story up.
We got a few of some smaller ones. Should be quicker to run through. A game I think I need to check out. Infinite Nikkei reported huge earnings during the first month of that game. So in the first month of this mobile game being out, they amassed just shy of $16 million in profits on that game.
I haven't even heard of that game.
It's a really popular game.
Infinity Nikkei? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's the dress up game. Yeah, because Mr. Coffee, I said I wanted to play that before, and then he sent me what type of game it actually is, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not playing this game. Like, no thanks. I'm not playing the dress up game.
It's essentially like a lot of these games, they're gacha games, but it's a really popular. If they're making $60 million,
there's too many.
There's an audience there for it.
But I mean, it might be good. Like if you check it out and let me know, then maybe
it reminded me more of what's the other? It's another Chinese game. I gotta pull it up.
With Zenless Zone Zero.
Well, that's one of them. But it wasn't the exact one that I was thinking.
Genshin Impact.
Yeah, it was Genshin Impact. Like it's one of those style games for the most part. Is what I thought it looked like on the outside. But for whatever reason, those games just do super, super well. We did get another rumor about Mario Kart 9. So you thought Mario Kart 8, they were just going to stick with that one forever. There's a rumor that Mario Kart 9 will be a major launch title potentially for the Switch 2. And the rumored date for this, they say March 3rd. But I don't know. That just doesn't feel like the Switch 2, if they announced it, would launch that fast. 2 months or just under 2 months feels like a very quick turnaround for a console launch.
Matt said it was a business trip, but I had time to walk the gaming VR hall. Yeah, Matt's really into VR, so it's pretty much been on hiatus. We got to figure out how to repick it back up, but we're doing a collab video VR where I have the PSVR 2.
That's dope.
And he's got, at the time, had the MetaQuest 2. Now he has a MetaQuest 3S, but still got the footage and everything, so we still at some point got to do something with that. But yeah, he's really into VR and does VR content, which is really cool. He's got a pretty big channel and stuff, so definitely go check him out. Give him a subscribe, and he's on all platforms as well. So he said, my wife would love it. She makes me's on the Wii for hours. That's cool. Johnny said, I miss you guys. Hey, we miss you hanging out with us on the podcast and stuff. Glad to have you back. And we obviously weren't streamed to Facebook, and he doesn't have YouTube or Twitch, so good to be back. But
that's good. But on top of that rumor, there's also another rumor that's going to be incorporating, they say, a feature from F9, but essentially that would more or less be a high-speed mode. What they kind of feel like they tested with the 200cc potentially is the rumor. So at the very least, you could probably expect the 200cc to remain. But I mean, I could see a Mario Kart game being a potential launch title for the Switch too.
I could too, and it's like, what What more do you do with Mario Kart? Like, what would the next? Because like
It's
the 3DS, you had
it's
the
a mix.
gliders. You know,
All I can think
for
of is
Double Dash, you had
obviously,
the double characters, double carts.
yeah.
You know, each one had like a sort of gimmick. DS had its online, had the battle mode and had its
Yeah.
online
I guess it
stuff.
comes down to is, if they wanted to do more with the game, maybe Mario Kart 8 Deluxe that they have, it just didn't have the infrastructure to incorporate other things, and a new game does that better for them. I would like them to bring back a lot of this older stuff from the games as well as try something new. I don't it's kinda hard to tell, but bring back the Double Dash, bring back the battle modes, bring back all these other things you've had in these past games
Yeah, I wish they'd
on
bring
top
back
of what else
the
they wanna
DS
do.
stuff because that was really cool. Like making the custom emblems, the battle mode was really, really cool. What
You're never getting
DS
custom
is
emblems
still,
back.
to me, is still my favorite Mario Kart, period. I love Double
It's that
Dash,
era.
but I
It's the
love
Wii
DS.
and the DS version. Those are, like,
Wii is,
one
I
of my
mean,
2 they've got
none
my
of them
favorite
are
tracks.
bad. There isn't a bad Mario Kart. Like they're
No.
even Super Circuit on the GBA. I love it. I think it's underrated. I think people overlook it because it was basically just the next evolution of the Super Nintendo Mario Kart. It's the same. It's sprites. It's still 2D. It's obviously 3D, but it's still sprites. So you don't have a 3D character model. But it was basically a better version of the Super Nintendo Mario Kart. And it was just, it had really good tracks and stuff like that. But there's never been a bad Mario Kart, if you ask me. Never.
Yeah,
I
because
mean,
I believe
Mario
'cause the
Kart
Wii has my
Arcade
favorite.
1 and 2, really good. I mean, really, really fun.
Yeah,
Everything
'cause
they've
I'll
done.
yeah, 'cause Mario Kart, the Wii has my favorite track, which is Maple Tree Way. I don't know why, I just absolutely love that course.
I don't know if I have necessarily a favorite track per se, because each game has I mean, I don't think I have an overall favorite track, but there's definitely tracks that stand out from each game for me, which was
Yeah.
really cool what they did with the booster pass and bringing so many of those, those courses
That's how you
back.
keep these types of games alive and relevant, so for so long you
I thought
constantly are
that,
bringing in old courses.
there were people that were complaining at the time, like, oh, this is, I got to pay for this to get more core. Like, come on. Any other game, you would never complain about another game doing that. Your Call of Duty paying for a skin, your Fortnite paying for a skin. Meanwhile, you're paying this cheap price for a booster pass, getting all these courses and additional content.
And a
I
lot of
thought
these
it was
courses
a great deal. I thought it was awesome, and it was a way to
like
keep the game alive.
yeah, like, to be fair, like, when they're bringing these old, like, SNES, 64, Game Boy courses to this game, they essentially have to rebuild those courses from the ground up. Like, maybe the
Yeah.
Wii course tracks you could port over and give it a new coat of paint, but some of these older tracks have to have a lot of work put into them. So it makes sense. Like, those old DS courses, you can't just one for one bring that course over. It requires a lot of work.
Yeah.
You've gotta essentially bring the graphics up to snuff. You've gotta make sure the
Yeah.
course is the right size for the game because courses were different sizes in different games, but it fit what was the mechanics of that game. Not the mechanics aren't the same that the old DS or the old SNES game had. So it
I thought,
requires a level rework to some degree,
oh,
especially if you add more. Because some of these tracks on Mario Kart 8 have more characters than they probably did um, on the original console it was on, as well as different carts and stuff like that. So I understand it. Plus,
yeah.
some course add something new to the course and stuff like that.
You know what?
And
I
why not?
think other than Super Circuit is definitely the most underrated Mario Kart, no, hands
I think it's the
down.
least played probably.
But other than that, like nobody talks about Mario Kart 7, and I thought the gliders was a pretty cool mechanic. I thought it had good
To be
courses. I thought the
to be
gliders are cool and it was something different.
yeah,
The
no,
3D was actually pretty good in it. It was pretty
Mario
good
Kart
3D.
8 feels like Mario Kart 7, just better,
I
to
mean,
be
that's fair.
fair.
Mario Kart 8 is better. I would say is better than 7, but I thought 7 was good and it held its own as well, especially for the time. And I thought, first of all, you had the gimmick of 3D, and the 3D in it was good. It was good 3D. If you wanted to play the 3D off, it had the glider mechanic. It was a pretty good game. It had good courses.
Yeah, and then yeah, I was right. So the Mario Kart Super Circuit has it's the least sold game at 5.9 million copies sold. What's it? Mario Kart Double Dash had the 6.8 and stuff like that. And then they technically have Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U is the next least popular one, but Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for the Switch is sitting at just shy of 63 million sales.
That's wild. Matt said, I like playing Shy Guy on the DS version. I do too. I like playing Shy Guy and Yoshi. Those are my characters for Mario Kart DS. So my favorite track and Baby Kart on Double Dash. My family had Baby Kart tournaments. Yeah, I thought the babies were cool characters. I always played them too. I thought it was pretty neat. Mark is the Mario Kart master. I don't know about that.
If you do want something funny though, the estimated US dollar revenue of the entire Mario Kart IP is sitting at a little over, just over $10 billion.
I don't believe you, Mark.
I'm just saying. It's sitting at 180. It's sitting at just shy. It's sitting right at 184.4 million copies sold across the board for every Mario Kart game.
Lies.
Which includes home circuit. To be fair.
Lies.
Hey, home circuit.
Would you believe if I told you that the Mario Kart Live home circuit sold 1.7 million copies?
I believe that. I bought both. I was a sucker and bought both of them and did nothing.
If that was any other game.
We played with them one time, and then more than that, it was a collector's item. They were,
but it's crazy.
Collector's item. They're cool.
That well.
I have a strong feeling that in the future, yes, they produced a lot of those, but a lot. I mean, most people obviously took them out and played with them, and you're supposed to run
a one-time thing or something like that.
Yeah, you're supposed to run around with them and do stuff with them. But I have a feeling that down the line, those are going to hold some value. I do have
especially if they're still
complete in box.
Like
yeah, I have a feeling they'll hold some value.
A lot of that stuff, especially if it's got a physical component to it, it's not just the game. If you keep it in good condition, eventually in like 20 years, it's going to hold some value.
Oh yeah,
especially when you get
the coin mechanic for Mario Kart 7. I forgot about that. Yeah.
No, but I was just gonna say, like, especially once you get down the line, the kids that grew up playing, say, Mario Kart 8 or the home circuit, and they want to come back and they get nostalgia. That's
revisit
when the price for some of the stuff is gonna go up.
I mean, it was a really neat idea, and it came out at a perfect time. It couldn't have come out at a better time, during COVID.
I mean, it was the right time, just technologically. It was like the right time for it to come out.
Yeah, for sure.
And they finally had the technology, not the affordability with the technology. It came out at the right time. Like this came out around the Wii era. It'd been far more gimmicky and far more expensive, probably.
Yeah, for sure. All right, what do we got next?
There's another quick one. Just because I know we played it and I have it. The Lollipop Chainsaw Repop has what is this? Just broke $200,000 in sales. Which for a remake of a not super popular IP, it's doing pretty decent. I'm pretty sure with that they've made their money back.
200,000 sales. Yeah, that's not too bad because I went through limited run games, so that's pretty good.
No, not in dollars. It's 200,000 sales of the copy.
I knew what you meant because I was gonna say 200,000. I'm like, whoa, what? They didn't make nothing. No, yeah.
So if I don't know what's the game like, $50, $60 and stuff like that. You can tell they made
plus the
quite
collector's
a bit of money.
edition. You count that in too with sales for that, which a lot of people got. A lot of people got that collector's. Yeah, that's cool, man.
So this gets it proves there's still maybe not a massive popular game, but people do want to go back and play those older games. With
I want to pick this up really bad, but I still have not gotten an answer from anybody on whether it's been patched up because it launched very poorly. Like the game was unplayable.
When I played it,
it was dropping down to like a sub 10 frames at points. Like there's footage out there.
That when I played the game.
It may have had a day one patch. You may have got a patch when you played it. I don't know.
I played it like a month or two after because I was waiting for my physical.
So yeah, it had to have been patched in by that.
I mean, like
point.
A lot of those older games, you periodically have dips in performance, but largely I didn't have any problem with the game.
Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure that Lollipop Chainsaw on the PS3 360 or at least 360 ran at a straight 60 frames per second.
Yeah. So, and then I don't know how much has been done behind the scenes. To be fair, this is probably more of a port than a native to this console and stuff like that. So you're not dealing with the same hardware this game was.
Well, this isn't a port. This is a straight remaster, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
This
but
is
you're still dealing with
character models.
You're still, and I don't know the technology, but you're still dealing with a game that was coded for a different era of hardware, and you're making it try to work on newer hardware. So just by default, you're going to run into issues. If this game was built from the ground up for like the PS4, PS5, it should run fine. But you're dealing with a game that was designed for wholesale different hardware, and they didn't rebuild the game. They
So
took
this,
what was already there
according
and
to this
patched it up.
article, they're saying this lies somewhere between a remaster and a remake because they did it
Yeah,
from
because
they
it
did it
still
from the
largely
ground
looks
up.
and feels. Yeah, that you can still tell it's a game that was made 10, 15 years ago or
Yeah.
like 10 years ago and brought over. It's because it was rebuilt from the ground up. It would look and play not exactly the same like it did. Like it feels like I'm playing like a 360 era game.
Yeah. Well, we did get a really cool announcement today. House of Dead 2 is getting a remake, which is really freaking cool, man. I'm really excited about this. I retweeted this earlier today. I was like, this is the announcement I wanted to see today because this IP does not get enough love. Yes, we got.
I've never heard about it before today, so.
You never played it in the arcades?
We never had arcades growing up for the most part.
Pumpkin
so
show?
I never
It was
did.
every pumpkin show, the fair.
I never played arcades there.
Oh my god, that was the first thing I did. I spent like most of my time there. I played and beat Time Crisis 1 and 2 in the arcade.
To be fair, March, when we were growing up, arcades were seen as like a
Chuck
a
E.
dead and dying
Cheese,
thing.
Magic Mountain. None of the? Are you
Oh,
serious?
for Magic Mountain, but you're playing games for those little tickets to get prizes.
Yeah, but there were still arcade games. I grew up playing arcade
Yeah,
games.
like you
my
play like
entire
the
childhood.
you play the Mario one, or you play like the
Even CC's
the-
Pizza back in the day had the Mario Kart arcade game and had the Jurassic Park shooting game. I can't remember what that one was called specifically, but also had. Do you remember Carnival? Do you remember that arcade
No.
game? It was a carnival, evil
like
clowns.
yeah, sorry. The other one I was thinking of, it was the arcade version of Hydro Thunder that I used to play on the 64.
Oh yeah, that
They
was
had the
very
arcade
fun.
version of that.
Did you
But
know
that was more of a I have this game, I want to play it on the arcade.
Did you know that they have? Because I played it. I've actually played it. I went to a really cool arcade last year in Arizona. That they made an arcade version of Crazy Taxi, the stand-up arcade unit of Crazy Taxi.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I knew about that.
Yeah, it's
Never
crazy.
played it, but I knew it existed.
Really, really cool.
Here's another thing, because I don't know how many people played Hydro Thunder back on the day.
Dude, so good.
I didn't. I guess there was a 360 arcade version of the game. I would like an actual remake or remaster of that game to come to modern consoles.
What, of
It's
Hydro
a simple
Thunder?
game. Yeah, I mean it was a challenging game, at least on the 64. It was.
Yeah, you know what was
that,
really
that
cool
game was
about
like prime childhood.
what was really cool about Hydro Thunder, was that it really, especially the 64 and the GameCube, the water mechanics were insane for the time. The water mechanics were just so crazy, like mind blowing.
But also, that game had a level of skill, because there's like a lot of shortcuts that realistically you need to hit if you want to like win a lot of those races.
Yeah, for sure.
But those shortcuts required some amount of skill to hit, skill and timing. Like it was that that game still required a decent amount of skill to win and beat and stuff like that. Because they're also like, it was back in there where they have like hidden courses, so you'd have to do so well to unlock hidden tracks, which was
like the fun of it, finding those like hidden
unlocking the content and stuff like that. It's not just given to you. You have to like do well at the game to get these unique courses, but those courses are very, very difficult.
Well, I just want to say, I truly appreciate everybody watching. We are at our peak number that we've ever had, at 179 people. So thank you all so much for, never thought the restream stuff before didn't do so well, but it seems like maybe, it's come back around and stuff like that. So we appreciate everybody watching. I did just want to shout everybody out because it helps out a lot. All that watch time means a lot to these platforms. So we really appreciate it. Matt Wong said, I played the Crazy Taxi arcade version. Mr. Coffee said, I miss arcade style on-rail shooters with a light gun. It's not the same using a controller. I agree. I have my brother. So my brother lived in Australia. He met a woman a few years ago. He was in the military. And then when he finished up his time at the military, he met a woman online in Australia. And so he ended up moving there for a few years. He sent me back this crazy light gun that works for the Sega Saturn and works for the PS1. It has a cord for both. It's so cool, and it's nicely made. Just some no brand that I've heard of before, but really, really cool. So like I have like I have a Dreamcast light gun. I've got obviously the NES Zapper. I've got the Zapper for the Atari XE. I've got the Zapper for the Sega Master System. So I love my light gun games. I think they're a lot of fun, especially you play stuff like Time Crisis, especially Time Crisis 2, man, I just think is a classic. And then House of the Dead 1 and 2 are just absolute classics, if you ask me. But like, there were so many good light gun games on the Wii that people don't talk about. Both of the Resident Evil games for the Wii, they're both on rail light gun games. They're really, really, really good. Then obviously you had like it was almost like a demo game, but it was still a game like Link's Crossbow Training that came with the Wii Zapper. Yeah. That was fun too. You know, for the time, really, really fun.
Yeah, I would agree. We got some interesting news, and I thought this was really, really interesting. And you asked people 10, 15 years ago, they'd say this has a 0% chance. It would never happen. It's being rumored that both the Master Chief Collection and Microsoft Flight Simulator 24 are reportedly in the works to come to the PS5 and the Switch 2 sometime in 2025.
Wow. All right.
Which, if that's like, you're talking Flight Simulator, that's one thing, but Halo coming to both a Nintendo and a Sony console.
So
if that's true, that would be insane.
Halo was supposed to come to the DS back in the day. I don't know if you know about that. It also came to the Atari 2600. It's called Halo 2600. It's a rare, expensive. It's like an unofficial official game. If that makes any sense at all. But no, it will be crazy. But I think it makes sense now. Like I do. I think we're going to talk later about one of our big news. So maybe it might not make as much sense as it could, depending on where Xbox is going, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. But it doesn't surprise me at all. You know, I mean, I love Xbox as a brand, but they haven't dug their heels into the console. Like, they just have not.
It just feels like they don't care anymore.
Yeah, they don't. It doesn't feel like they love their hardware like that. Like, it doesn't feel like they've been essentially. It almost feels like a Sega situation where it's like, we love our IPs, but we don't care about hardware.
I mean, because this is what the second generation they've lost to to Sony.
I mean, yeah, the Xbox One.
I'm pretty sure they've also lost to the Switch. Like, how well the Switch is selling, they've lost. So they with this current generation, they're pretty much sitting in third of three.
Yeah, it's crazy,
between Sony and Nintendo. Because Nintendo is pretty much on pace to the Switch to be the best selling console of all time.
I think
until Sony comes out with another 50,000 console sales out of their butt.
Yeah, I think that Nintendo competes with nobody, if you ask me. Like, I feel like they're going to be the only one that keeps physical media alive. I mean, like, the PS6 is not going to.
Let's be fair. Nintendo survives off their IPs, but they don't. They have zero interest of ever porting their IPs to anything else.
But I will say this. I will say, in defense of Nintendo, I think, because if you think back to GameCube, and you think back to even the Wii, like, even though you think about how different games were for the Wii, it still got the third party support. Like, it was there.
Yeah.
The Call of Duties were even there.
Console.
Even, and they were different games, but they were there. They at least existed.
Kind of like what you saw with the Switch. You had high sales, so there was people there. So there was a financial incentive to make those games. Obviously, game development's changed back in the day. And like the hardware limitations of the Switch aren't the same hardware limitations that the Wii had comparatively.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, usually when you have a console that sells extremely well, regardless of whether or not you like developing for it, you're going to, because there's such a massive install base. It just makes sense financially.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one to say, because I've done videos on kind of like the demise of Xbox and really where my kind of head was, because I don't want Xbox as a console manufacturer to leave the console market, because if you ask me, like we talked about before, this was something completely different. Competition is good. Nintendo competes with nobody, if you ask me. So if Xbox is not there to compete with PlayStation, who competes with PlayStation?
Because most people that have it, they'll have like a a PlayStation, they'll have a Switch, and they'll probably have a PC and stuff like that. Like they'll have, it'll have like a PC
Well, it's usually
and
a
a Switch, or like a
console.
PlayStation and a Switch.
A lot of
'Cause to be
people that
fair,
have
the Switch
PC have a
is far
Switch,
cheaper.
but it's usually like either you got a PS5 and a Switch, or you got a PC and a Switch.
Yeah,
Like I don't know many people like us that have a PC, have the consoles.
Well,
you know, because we're into it
Yeah.
deep, right? Like we're into it a
yeah,
little
but
bit
like
differently.
let's be fair. You've seen it from Microsoft with the Game Pass coming to PC, and now with Sony, their first party IPs are eventually coming to PC. They might not be playable when they come out, but they're bringing their IPs to PC. So what's the point of having those consoles if you want to play on PC anyways? The only games that aren't gonna come to PC are the Switch. So what are you gonna have? You're gonna have a PC to play, you know, your Sony and your Microsoft first party games, and then you just have a Switch for Nintendo games. And because it's handheld portable, though that market's starting to change, Nintendo will still be able to compete because they make really good beloved IPs.
Yeah.
Which is what's going to keep them alive.
Their IPs definitely keep them alive. I will say that I think that the third party situation, because Nintendo is very aware of the third party situation with the Switch One.
I mean, they're aware of everything. It's
launched-
not like
They
it's not like
launched
they're
with
in a
underpowered.
vacuum.
Like in when the console launched, it was already launching with underpowered hardware. Like it was outdated hardware when it launched.
But it was the
like
the
third
trade-off
parties
for the
couldn't.
handheld.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was straight. It was. Look, it was an evolution, right? So we had the Wii U. The Wii U was a test for the Switch, and I think the Switch was a test for the Switch too. Realistically, I think now the advancements are so big that I do feel like third parties are going to, because Square Enix has hinted at like all the Final Fantasies coming over to Switch and Xbox. I mean, like that tells you
But,
right
like,
there. If Final Fantasy VII Rebirth can come to Switch too, that's a pretty big deal.
Well, because there's two big things. One, Nintendo's always been in the handheld market, and they've always dominated it well. So the handheld market's not new to them. But also, since the Switch came out, you've had the Steam Deck, you have like the Asus ROG Ally.
Yeah.
So the more advanced technology, you know, it's more well known. You know what you're dealing with. While you might have to charge more for higher end technology, that technology is slowly becoming cheaper, more accessible. So you can beef up it without becoming like $800-900. Like
the
it doesn't
Asus
necessarily
ROG
need
Ally X is $700.
Yeah.
You know,
like it
for example.
It might not. The hardware to hardware specs might not compete with those, but it'll be good enough for Nintendo IPs, and it'll be good enough to have some level of third party support willing to bring a version of their game over, if it's slightly downgraded.
Yeah.
As well as you're bringing in AI, you have it's not necessarily, well, Nvidia has DLSS, but you have the upscaling technology, which definitely helps more of the.
It's going to be a big help, I think.
The actual consoles.
I think it's going to be a big help on the third party side, especially because it's going to give those companies a way to make these games work on the Switch 2 and work well, because we don't want a bunch of crap ports, right? But
it also means, even with the upscaling, you still need to properly optimize your game so the upscaling actually improves the performance.
Yeah, upscaling only does so much. It's growing, but you know,
some of these developers lean on the DLSS to the point where it's just like
too much.
It's not properly ported, but you're hoping that fixes the problem, and it doesn't. So you have a poorly optimized game.
Yeah, I know. It's pretty crazy. Mr. Coffee said the only major competitor is download speeds. Hey, I don't know, man. Let me check right now. I got a button on my Stream Deck for testing my.
A lot of that comes down to just what your router is. But I feel confident that Switch 2 dock is going to have a.
It has to. OLED. Yeah, I mean, it's got to. I think it has to, because you're going to be running. I think they're going to lean more into the my download is 910, my upload is 920, so pretty good. I think that they're going to lean a lot more heavier into the online aspects of Switch 2 being, I think they want to get more into really the console space, if that makes sense. Like they don't want to compete, but they want to be a competitor, if that makes any sense at all.
They just need to be competent. Like, let's be fair. Like online multiplayer was the only major drawback.
Like voice chat on your phone, like
you had to use that because, like, let's be fair, the hardware was just too underpowered for what they wanted to do. They had to use something something like that. So that's like the only major thing they really need to fix as far as the actual hardware itself.
Yeah.
Even if it still requires like a Bluetooth connection, as long as it connects to the console, that makes more sense. Because I mean, to be fair, Microsoft and Sony essentially have Bluetooth.
I mean,
headphones
like, what's crazy
anyways,
is
so
that
not new.
the DS and the Wii U had freaking microphones built into the system.
I mean,
You know
to
what I
be
mean?
fair,
Like,
they
I
were
was
like
chatting.
low quality microphones.
They were really
but
low quality,
yeah.
but I was chatting on Metroid Prime Hunters on my D. I eventually bought the little headset. I've still got it now, sealed just as a memento, I guess. But the one-sided headset, DS chat headset I had, I also use it for Wii because they made a Wii variant of it. It's the same exact thing, just Wii packaging. But then they did the Wii. It was like a Wii. I forget what they called it, but it was for Animal Crossing City Folk specifically, but it worked for other games too, where it was just this technology is stupid because when you think about the reverb coming back from your TV, but basically is a microphone that you set next to your TV to talk to your friends in Animal Crossing City Folk, but you're getting all that feedback from your TV's noise, so it was just a bunch of echoing over and over and over. It was really bad. It was rough.
Yeah.
I still have one of those, just to have it. But Matt Long said I got my wife a Stream Deck for Christmas. Yeah, I won this in a giveaway, the Stream Deck XL, and I have not had the chance to set everything up on it yet, but it's going to end up being an absolute game changer for streaming and the podcast. So I've got a few things on it now. But it's going to be even editing. Like there's editing tools that you can map for each screen for editing. So it's really, really cool.
Just want to give a quick little shout out for the Prime games for January. So as of right now, if you've got Prime, Eastern Exorcist and The Bridge are on the Epic's Game Store. BioShock 2 Remastered, you can get the GOG code for that. Spiritmancer, Amazon Games app, and Skydrift Infinity is on the Epic Games Store. So you can get those games now if you've got Prime Gaming. Just want to give that a quick little shout out.
Yeah, I'm always down for free games.
Yeah, most people have Amazon Prime, so
yeah, why not claim? I claim every one of them. Always have.
It's free game. Why not?
Yeah. Why not?
Unless it's on Epic Game Store, then we don't touch that.
I still claim those.
Steam all the way. Unfortunately, like the only one that's like major BioShock I already have on Steam, so I bought that years ago.
Yeah. All right, what do we got next, Mark? I'm going to share this back out here.
We've got some Pocket TCG news. The biggest game that we've been playing on our mobile phones. So Pokemon TCG Pocket has generated over $400 million in revenue since it released 2 months ago, which is insane.
That is
so.
Wild.
The game is insanely popular, and if you watch people, especially some PokeTubers, there are people that drop several $100s on this game to open packs to like get every single card and stuff like that. As well as there's a lot of people that stream them just playing the Pokemon card, the actual competitive version of this game.
Yeah.
Which is like a simplified version of the actual card game, but it's probably the first time a lot of people have actually played the trading card game to any degree, really.
Yeah, and it's like a simplified version, but like not like stupidly simplified. Like, you know what I mean? It works for like quick bursts. It's a mobile game, so like people want to play it on their breaks and like play,
because you can actually there's a desktop and a mobile app for their actual mobile version of it, where when you open packs you have like a QR code to open packs within the game. You can play that as well, but this feels like probably for a lot of people a real entry point to the actual trading card game, probably since the OG trading card game on the Game Boy, really. Because let's be fair, a lot of people that might actually buy the physical cards probably don't play the game like me. You just buy them to collect them.
Yeah,
Put them in, try to see what you have and stuff like that. And if you've got extras, you either get rid of them or trade them or something like that. But a lot of people don't.
I mean, I barely even play.
Don't actually play the game.
I barely even play the game on TCG Pocket. I've played through most of the, like I try to do all the events that pop up to get those cards and stuff. But playing against real people, I probably played like 10 times against real people. I've gone through and played all.
I think I'm around 20, 25 or something like that. It's not a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I'm more into it just for the collecting factor. I just think it's fun to pull the cards, see what you get every day.
But it's insane. Like this game is already, probably paid for itself, 100 times over.
Oh, for like this game, sure.
At this rate, even if it starts to wean back a little bit, this game wouldn't surprise me if it breaks $1 billion in its first year.
I mean,
running.
And you got to think how big the gacha mechanic is, right? And the
it's
world,
on top of the gacha and Pokemon. It's just a really, really
people are spending
IP.
money on this game. They're spending loads of money on this game. Like
just the genetic Apex, just in the base set, it's like 226 cards for the base set alone. Like they're as big as actual card sets, pretty much. Maybe not like reverse hollows and stuff like that, but just the base cards. If you wanted to fully complete an actual deck in these games, you almost certainly have to spend real world money on this game.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really cool. I've enjoyed it. I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I have. But I wasn't expecting much because they already had a Pokemon trading card game app. And people were like, why are they making a new one? Like, what's the point? But I get it. It's a more simplified, easier version, gacha version of that game. The other one, you had to scan the cards from physical
all
packs.
It is it's just a pure, you're just there to play the game competitively against other people. That's all that app and game is for, is a digital version of the trading card game. That's it. You're playing against other people.
Yeah.
This one actually has you opening cards.
Which for competitive players is
money
cool,
to get those. Yeah. Also, because there's been rumors around, a Mass Effect TV series, or I'm pretty sure they've already kind of talked about it being in the works. The voice actress for the female shepherd, Jennifer Hale, has come out essentially wanting to play the role of female shepherd in the actual series. It's essentially come out.
Blah.
Or essentially, she wants like a lot of the original cast that voice act a lot of these characters to essentially be in the TV series. Where if you're a fan of the games and you want to hear the same voices from the games, this would be like a kind of like a no-brainer. Though, would they actually pull the trigger on this? I don't think they would, outside of probably like some of the leads. But it would be neat to bring back all the OG voice actors for the trilogy and essentially cast them for the role that they played.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be I don't know how I feel about it exactly. I'm not sure how to feel. Like Mass Effect 3 rubbed me wrong there at the end. Mass Effect Andromeda was a joke.
Yeah, but if you look at the original trilogy, we still don't know what they're going to do, but we do know Amazon and MGM Studios. Well, Amazon owns MGM Studios, but MGM Studios is the actual studio essentially working on this project.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen it before. This is either going to do really well or it's going to absolutely bomb. You've seen it recently. When it's done well, these shows do amazing. But if it doesn't live up to the core audience of the IP, it's just going to absolutely tank.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what it does. I mean, it seems to be there for a while. Video game movies and adaptations had a real good run. Now there's been there's been a few misses and stuff like that. Like there's been a few like hits. Mid movies. Like for instance, like Uncharted, not a bad movie, but not like a great movie either. It was fine adaptation for what it was, but
like considering for what the games are, they're heavy story driven, and it's a video game, so there's it takes like 20-30 hours. A TV series fits far better than a movie for a lot of these games, especially the story heavy ones. Because let's be fair, if you want to do any justice to the characters and the story, you need more than 2 hours to tell any decent story.
Yeah, I mean, like Last of Us did the TV show, right? Very successful. So I mean, I feel like they're like, okay, this did really well. What else can we grab from? And Mass Effect could do well. Like, the whole space thing. It's popular enough that like it would make sense for that to work. Like Star Wars is garbage right now, if you ask me. So bring in Mass Effect, make it good, make it like a big old franchise, and
you just need
to do it
writing.
right.
That's the one thing that's up in the air, and you get a lot of hit or miss with Hollywood as far as the writing goes.
Yeah, no doubt. You definitely do. Patrick said the last handheld I owned was the Atari Lynx. Wish it had better battery life. The games are cool. I've got an Atari Lynx. It's over here. I actually have I've got the adapter for my analog pocket. Right now I've got the Turbo EverDrive Pro in there with the adapter in my analog pocket, but I have the Atari Lynx not EverDrive, the Atari Lynx Game Drive, and then the adapter as well. So I love the Atari Lynx. Big fan.
For another game that's coming out next year, Borderlands 4, we've gotten essentially two things that they've told us.
In the midnight sea. What's becoming
the smaller of the
me?
Oh my god, I'm gonna smack you. The smaller of the two things. This is from the lead writer Sam Winker. Essentially, he says there's a decrease in toilet humor from Borderlands 3 to Borderlands 4.
You say Sam Tinker?
Sam Winkler. I didn't say Tinker. There's no T in his name. There's his last name.
Winkler might be worse than Tinker.
To be fair, I'll say this. To be fair, if you play these games, the problem with Borderlands 3 is it felt like they were forcing jokes just all over the place. Like they were getting paid by the number of jokes they're writing. Because if you play Borderlands 2, the jokes are there, the toilet humor is there, but it's far more naturally written in, and it's not like constantly in your face. There's room to breathe between some of the jokes and the humor in that game.
Yeah,
it's a huge problem for Borderlands 4. But the other one that was also confirmed is, and I feel like this is like the only game that's still doing it. They did confirm you're still getting split screen co-op for Borderlands 4.
I mean, that's good.
Essentially a staple of the series from the original game.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, most people probably aren't going to play this game on couch co-op, but the fact that it's there, people will use it.
No, but
it's
what
like
that
an
makes
impossible thing for them to implement.
It takes me back to the time of you coming over. My first time playing Borderlands, you came over to my apartment, brought over your PS4, and played Borderlands, and then you left, and you just left in the middle of the night. Like, what? I thought you were staying. But no, I remember that was my kind of introduction to the series, and played it then. And I mean, love 1 and 2. Have loved 1 and 2 ever since. I always say I think the combat for 3 is the best. I just think it's the story that's weak. But I think like if you go in just to play for gameplay, 3, you can't go wrong with 3 for gameplay.
I mean, the story
it's not, and again, Borderlands 3, the story is not
there's
horrible either. It's not like I can't play this type level of stuff, but it's not good.
The villains, and it's the especially the way the game ends. Wasn't the biggest fan of, but it's really the worst part was the villains. It's patchy as far as the writing goes. It's patchy between good and bad and stuff like that.
Yeah, I will say this, and I haven't even picked it up yet. I plan on getting on PS5 at some point physically to play because I need to play it, but I haven't played Tiny Tina yet, so I can't really speak on that. But I've heard I've heard good things, and I've heard like kind of like mixed things. I haven't really heard bad things per se. I've just heard that I've heard that it's a fine game. Basically, overall, like I've heard it's a good game. Like it kind of takes a lot of the stuff from Borderlands 2 and sort of the combat stuff like that.
We just need better writing than what New Tales gave us, because that was terrible. Yeah, but we do have an announcement date for the Xbox Developer Direct. That's going to be coming January 23rd. Don't know how
what
close
day
that is,
of the week of that is that? Because I was going to ask if you'd want to cover that.
That is a Thursday.
It's a Thursday. What time is it?
We have the day. I don't know if we actually have a time. I think they just gave us the day of this. All right, so it's January 23rd, 10 a.m. Pacific time, which is a impossibility for me because I'll be at work.
Yeah,
10 a.m. Pacific.
I covered the last.
That'd be 11 a.m.
4 of them live. So I would like to, if I can plan around it.
Yeah, because that's
maybe
1 p.m.
make
Eastern
it work.
time.
I don't know. I can't know until it's a little bit closer. But I would like to cover it live. I think it'd be cool. I've covered the last ones live. I was blown away by the last event because we got like a whole timeline map of all the stuff that Xbox had planned. So I imagine. Here's what I think. I think that we see something hardware related. I'm not saying we're seeing the successor to the Series X, but I think that we see something hardware related, as in the Xbox handheld. I have a feeling
if it's going to come out this year, you'd hear it probably around this time period. The only games that are confirmed for this is Clair Obscur, Expedition 33, Doom: The Dark Ages and South of Midnight. Those are
I'm
the only
so
confirmed
excited for
games
Doom.
that will be getting information. Those.
So
Yeah, by
excited
far
for
Doom
Doom.
is the most popular. But it's like just under 2 weeks, so not next week, but the week after, we'll definitely be talking about this direct. I mean, maybe next week we'll talk about the Nintendo Direct. That'd be great. They drop something on a Monday, say, hey, this is Tuesday or something. Because they don't drop stuff more than like 72 hours out for their directs.
Matt Long said I played some of the Indiana Jones live stream. Did you like the game? I love the game. I still haven't beat it yet, but I'm probably about 12 hours into the game. I think it's fantastic. I was mildly optimistic because I liked the IP. And then I thought that it looked like everything coming out. It looked like it was going to be good. We were just like we're cautiously optimistic. At times we're even maybe pessimistic with games because we crapped on Marvel Rivals. We crapped on a lot of stuff, right? Like let's be honest here, and I'll continue to crap on stuff. We thought it was going to be another clone. You had the Concord issues. Like there's reasons to be, weary of things coming out. But no, Indiana Jones is fantastic. I think it's great. I really want Mark to play it. I think that he'll like it because I know that you like old Indiana Jones.
Yeah, because I'll talk about this.
This is old Indiana Jones.
Like it's a really good game, but the way it was marketed and the perceived
Xbox. That's
stuff
why
on the outside.
They can't.
I'm sorry,
crap.
Because everybody focused on that one dude who looks like the reincarnated DEI, and they're like, "Oh, this game's gonna be trash." Like it was just not marketed well in any way to be positive outside of the December window.
But then the game came out, and came out to a lot of
but the problem is,
and a lot of people love it.
The problem is a lot of people, the first impression's everything. If they see anything negative that they don't like in that first impression, they're just not even going to pay attention to it after the fact. And that was the inevitable problem. This game was not marketed properly, and it hurt probably a good sales potential. But like, let's be fair,
it's on Game Pass.
The AAA game industry has gotten a real bad reputation in the West. So people are looking for any reason to be like, oh yeah, I figured that's
people are finding DEI and things that aren't DEI. Like we are so tired.
But the problem is
we're so tired of it that
we're
finding it in places that it's not there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we talk about it might not be in the game, but it might be in the marketing. You might have people on social media come out and say stuff.
I'm definitely not defending it either. You know how I feel about it. No, but I'm just saying like. We
marketing.
We have to the point where it's like
we've been burned. Sorry, I just want to say we've been burned so many times in the industry with stuff like this, especially when they try to hide stuff like that. People are just, extreme. Like they get a whiff of it, they're like, "I'm out." No, I don't want this at all. Whether that's right or wrong, it's just sort of the reality that we're in right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things that if something happens so many times and then you wear the person out, like this is just a cycle of society because this has happened throughout history many times, especially in many different ways.
When you look at the games they're doing really well, are starting to come out of China, they're coming out of South Korea, a decent amount of stuff that's still coming out of Japan is still good. A lot of the games that people want are coming from Eastern developers. We just talked about it, how popular Marvel Rivals is, and that was developed by a Chinese developer.
Yeah,
it's like these developers know what they want, and they'll obviously
franchise, which is wild.
They don't have underlying opinions that they want to push and stuff like that, or that people are tired, so that by default they're skeptical from the get go.
Yeah,
but it's a reputation the industry's created themselves. So
yeah, I don't.
It's one of those. It's like you're gonna have to take a while and prove me wrong several times for me to come back or even start trusting you again.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all.
Yeah, but on top of that, you still talk about Xbox. The sales numbers for the Xbox Series X and S are not ideal. So these are the sales numbers just from November. These aren't like lifetime sales. But as of November 2024, the Xbox Series X and S were a distant third at 767,000 consoles sold.
Dang,
that's the Nintendo Switch for that same month. We're at 1.7 million. And the PS5 was at 4.1 million. Like it's not like if you just look at the X, because the Switch is at the end of its life cycle. If you just look at the PS5 and the Xbox, it's getting crushed right now. From it's not even hitting 1 million. The PS5 broke over 4.1, and this is November. This is like, the holiday season build up. Maybe they're not December numbers, but a lot of people start shopping in November early and stuff like that.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
like it's not even a competition really.
It's really not. It's
Oh,
kind of crazy.
sorry. On this same thing, on the same tweet that was posted, so the lifetime sales for the Xbox Series S and X, 31.2 million. PS5 is at 67.6 million. Obviously, we know the Switch is at 146 million.
It's not.
So it's essentially
it's
getting
better
still,
than the Xbox One. If I like, it's already at, I believe, past lifetime sale. I could be wrong.
Yeah, because they said the PS4, which still sold 4,000 copies in November, is sitting at 117.1 million.
Still no Wii U. But it's not good numbers. It's not good numbers.
The PS5 has sold over twice as many copies as the Xbox Series X. Like it's the fact that the Xbox, they're never gonna relive their 360 era as far as popularity.
Do you think that the PS5 surpasses PS4 sales? Because PS4 sales are crazy.
Well, the lifetime sales of the PS5 is at 67.6.
Not even
the
close.
PS4 is sitting at 107. I think it'll come close.
You think so?
Realistically, we're like at the halfway mark of the life, and its sales are probably going to start
the halfway
slowing
mark.
down.
We're past. I mean, Sony said it themselves. So like, whether or not they sell the PS5 for a few years after, the PS6.
Well, you imagine, because they have the PS4 is still selling with 4,000 copies, but they still had some sales.
Yeah, it's still at my local Walmart. Doesn't move, but
I think it'll come close it could come close. I don't know if it'll break 100 million for sure. It just it's up in the air.
Yeah,
I'd also be curious to know how many people have moved to PC, because the PC market is for sure digging into it from where the PS4 was at.
Yeah,
especially when Sony and Microsoft keep bringing their games to PC. It's less and less of a reason if you're going to pick one, why not go for the PC and get everything all in one?
There is a caveat for me. So I love PC now. I truly love PC gaming now. But when it comes to PlayStation first party games, I have absolutely zero interest in playing them on PC. And that's because of the mixed bag that it's been. They're optimized for the PlayStation 5. You don't have to worry about any of those issues. The DualSense controller, I love the haptic feedback. I think it's great. And it plays into a lot of games. And I don't want to worry about optimization issues. I don't want to worry about you can't make the game run correctly on PC for 6 months, and then also waiting as long as you have to wait for the game. To me, it's just like, no thanks. Like, I'll just.
A lot of people have massive backlogs.
Stellar Blade's the only one I'll probably double dip on. And that's just fair, because of what it is, If
you were gonna pick one where you could get everything, and you probably already have a massive backlog of games to play anyways, there's no reason to need to play all these games when they come out, and you're willing to wait as well as potentially save money. It's not the worst decision. Eventually, these games are going to come out sooner and sooner on PC. It's just a matter of them.
Well, yeah, they've got to have a port studio working at the same time.
I think that's only a matter of time, because Microsoft's been doing
I think so too. I think they want to go day and day. I think they want to. I just don't think they haven't been able to. But
it's not been an immediate drive, and it's still been something fairly early. But I think it's only a matter of time before they start this day and date, which will inevitably start cutting into their console sales.
We're heading so close into consoles just straight up being PCs that are mid-range PCs. That at the end of the day, like, it's not the NES era anymore. Consoles aren't as specialized as they once were, where they were all completely different hardware. Every bit of it was. Now consoles are more like PCs. They're more like an affordable PC. And I understand why somebody goes for a console versus a PC, because
it's just plug and play.
It's plug and play. It's so easy.
But to be fair, the prices of consoles have gotten so close to the prices of what you can get a reasonable PC for, right? Close to like.
Well, if you're looking at, because so for instance, PS5 Pro, you're looking at around, they guesstimate a 4070 Ti is about what you're getting. So you look at just the price of just a 4070 Ti right now, then get your CPU. You want to get an equivalent CPU to the PS5 Pro. You're already over. I mean, like you're over already on just 2 parts. You still got the motherboard, you still got the memory, you still got the case. So like PC gaming isn't it's not for everybody, and I get that. But I will say this: I have seen more people moving to PC than I ever have ever. I mean,
it's been more affordable. Like look at I pulled up something.
I wouldn't say it's you could buy a pre-built PC for like
that's what I was about to say. As of right now, I pulled up something on iBuyPower. It's on the top best selling page that I scrolled through and I found the cheapest one. So for like just over $1,000, you can get a pre-built PC it's got an i5 CPU. It's not the best, but it's 16 gigs of RAM. It's got a 4060 in it and a terabyte of 1 terabyte of M.2 NVMe. You can play any game with that. You're not playing max settings, but for $1,000 or just over $1,000, you have a perfect mid-range PC
and can still play 1080p games.
But it's not a 50 series, but it's the 4060. It's not the top, but it's affordable, and you can play any game at 1080p resolution just fine.
Mr. Coffee said,
and that's just a few $100 more than what consoles are going for.
Let me hit just a couple comments here real quick. Pamela came back in and said when it's at your local Walmart, it's definitely reached its half-life. Matt Long said, if I get on PlayStation, I feel that I am now obligated to platinum it. See, I haven't platinumed
I've gone away from that.
I've been with PlayStation since the PS1. And obviously it was introduced in the PS3 era. I've never platinumed a single game. So yeah.
I platinumed a few, but it's only games that you like and stuff like that.
I played a lot of Xbox 360, and then I've talked about before, but the Xbox One, I didn't get one until 2 years before the Series X came out, and I never had a PS4 until PS5 was out. I bought a PS4 after I already had a PS5. I don't remember why I don't remember why I did that. I think it was just a collector thing. I wanted to have one.
I didn't have the PS4 at launch.
Oh,
but
no,
I traded
it's because my
for the
daughter,
PS4 Pro
for her
launch.
to play games on, so I bought a PS4.
Yeah.
But so I mean, I can't see on here through my chat. You'll have to let me know, Mark, what they're saying over on Twitch. But Rap Sheet has left a few comments, and I can't view what they are.
Those
emojis
were they were emojis.
Okay.
We had Gamer Freak saying "Love y'all," Mario. Let's go Xbox, love Mario. Does Mark play video games? Yeah, I do. Mark play Indiana Jones and stuff like that, and the Rap Sheet was coming back with some more emojis.
And then Matt Long said, I do prefer console when playing with a friend that is here in my house. Yes, I can put a second controller to my PC, but I prefer both sitting on the couch. That hurts me. You have to platinum everything. I have so many trophies. I purchased a PS3 to go back and platinum my childhood games. I mean, fair enough. And like, I get it.
Games are
I have a really high gamer score on Xbox.
Yeah.
Because the 360 era, I was all 360. I mean, I got a PS3 at the very tail end. Like I got a PS3 Super Slim, the one that slid, the door slid on it. So like I got it when it was $100 or something. But something wrong?
What's going on? All my windows just minimized. And I don't know why.
Alrighty then. And then Matt Long said, I caught up everything. Yeah, said about the childhood games there. So yeah, no, that's a good reason to do it. I've got a PS3 sitting right here. I can touch it. It's the OG PS3 backwards compatible. The reason that I have this here is because I can play PS1, PS2, PS3, and then I got my PS5 right next to it where I can play PS4 and PS5 games. So I can play every era of PlayStation games. So it's hooked up at all times. Achievements, how many games? You 100%. I don't know how many, but I've got a pretty high gamer score because I started from the very beginning of the gamer scores being introduced. I couldn't tell you. I'd have to look it up. I mean, like I know people with way higher gamer scores than I have, but I mean, I for me it's pretty high. Like my gaming time is almost non-existent these days. Like it's hard to get in any game time. I'll check on the app here. But what do we got next, Mark?
Yeah, this one was just something that I thought was neat. PlayStation came out and revealed how many gamers turn off their PlayStation compared to they just put it in rest mode. So they came out and said about 50% of PS5 users put it in rest, and the other half will actually shut it down.
I always put mine in rest.
I can confidently say I'm one of those that I just put it in rest mode. I almost never turn it off.
I've always put mine in rest mode.
And
I didn't know people shut their PS5 down. I mean, one of the big things is like if you're in the middle of a game, like you want to be able to just pick back up where you are on that game. That's a big reason.
I think it works for like one game, one application. You can minimize a game, pull up like YouTube, and you can go right back to your game.
Yeah, I like being able to just pull my game back up if it's a game I'm playing, especially if I've got like 20 minutes of game time or something like that. I want to be able to just pop that game right back up. The rest mode.
These consoles are so well designed for rest mode. Same with my PC. You just more or less you just put it in rest mode, and it works so well at minimal power. It doesn't zap a lot. And these consoles are just designed to essentially sit in rest mode. It's not gonna hurt your hardware or anything like that.
Yeah, I like.
Unless I know I'm gonna be like out of the house.
I always heard that
stuff off, but
like for years, I don't know if it's like true or not, or if it's ever been debunked. But for years, I heard that it was better to put your PC into sleep mode than it was to turn it off. That's what I heard for years since like the 90s. I've heard that.
I'm pretty sure it has because they're designed to, but it's one of those things where power cycling is not the best thing for a lot of stuff. But I've been around a lot of electronics that never get shut down, but they're designed to never be shut down.
Yeah.
So it's, power cycling, it does more damage.
So I wonder if there's truth to that leaving your PC or console in rest mode.
They're designed to put it, but like for the PC, it's sleep, it's rest mode. They're designed for that to work, and they assume a lot of people are because it allows you to have stuff either run in the background or to not have to like restart it and restart all these applications. Everything's still running in the background. You're just minimizing how much power draw that your console, your PC's using and stuff like that. So where stuff's still running, but it's not drawing hardly any power, and you're not running fans and RGB unnecessarily.
Yeah, I mean, so people in chat saying, Pamela said always in rest mode. Matt said when I first got my PS4 and played every day, I used rest mode. Mr. Coffee said shut it down. It bugged me that my Xbox One X had a rest mode. But full. I mean,
if you're not going to play it every day, you're probably better off shutting it down. But
yeah, if you're not going to play it all the time. I can hear it such a low hum. But you can hear an Xbox One X. I've never had an Xbox One X, but if you could hear it, yeah, that would bother me too. I wouldn't want to have it in rest mode if that's the case. Matt said I always turn my desktop off, never sleep. I do it for maybe how much my electric would cost. I mean, I don't know.
My electric bill's like $50-$60 a month, so it's negligible.
Yeah, I mean, very little power is used in rest mode for PC. Like very rest
mode to sleep, you're saving pennies on the dollar at that point. If you were to actually look at your energy costs,
I do actually think
like
I can't confirm this, but I do think it actually is bad to power cycle off that much.
Like if you're gonna do it every day,
if you're doing it every single day, yeah, I don't think it's good.
Designed and the base settings on your PC and console are designed with the power save in mind, and stuff like that to minimize the draw and stuff like that. So the power draw is so negligible.
Let's put it this way: I've got 1, 2, 3, my PC, Wii U, even. So I've got 4 consoles always on rest mode plus a PC, and electric is negligible. Always in rest. My Wii U has not been turned on in months. It's in rest mode. I mean, like 4 consoles
in the 6 months,
it
probably cost you like $1 or $2 in the energy. It probably
it's so little. Like it's
the same thing with like with headlight. Because growing up, you still use the old fluorescent. And those drain power. Not terrible, but it drained noticeable because your parents always say turn the lights off and stuff like that. But if you have any of the newer bulbs, especially the LED ones, the power draw is so low you could just leave all your lights on, and you'd see a negligible increase in your power bill and stuff like that. Like we've gotten so good at power saving a lot of our technology. Well, let's be fair. Like some of the stuff still draws power when it's actually on and you're playing it a lot. But there's a lot of stuff that when you're not actively using, it's so good at not drawing such negligible power. But like if you're gonna play your console like once a week, you're probably better off than shutting it off. Like if I'm gonna be gone overnight, I'll shut my PC and stuff off just because I don't want it on, just in case.
Yeah, if you're
But,
gone,
I mean,
like that's a different story. I would probably shut down.
to be fair, it's still negligible. Just because, and I don't know why. Periodically, my PC will wake up from sleep mode for no reason. I don't touch it; it'll just wake up. But that's like a minor thing. I don't know.
Interesting. Yeah, Gamer Freak said never shut down a PC. Mr. Coffee said, "Isn't there a big issue with the CMOS battery in the Wii U?" There is, yeah. That is a problem with the Wii U. So if you have your Wii U turned off, if it's plugged up and it's in rest mode, you're fine. But if your Wii U is turned off and not been plugged in,
the battery dying would be a problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. Pamela said, "I've never heard it hum, but it's in another room. If it were in a bedroom, that would be annoying." Matt Long said, "Can I upload my files to Google Drive while I'm asleep?" Yeah, I think so, because I upload stuff from my phone to. I mean. Yeah, I would think so, right?
If you're in sleep mode, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know because I've never done it that way. I mean,
I'm not sure about that.
You might have to Google that one. I'm not sure on that one, to be honest with you.
I think sleep mode is more designed just to it's pretty because you're like my PC when I put it into sleep mode, the fans stop, the lights turn off. Like you visibly hear a lot of stuff turn off. But it's still drawing power to keep all your stuff running in the background. That way, when you come back, you just need to like move your mouse and everything comes right back on. You don't have to like restart the computer, have everything start up, pull up applications and stuff like that.
I will say,
as far as like moving files though, I don't know.
Power cycle before every stream and podcasts, just because of like all the background stuff I've done throughout the week or whatever, working with editing software, different apps that I've had pulled up. I power cycle before anything I'm doing, stream or podcast wise. So I always do that. I always restart the computer before. That way there's less things running, and I just feel safer doing that. I found when I didn't do that before that there tended to be more issues. But now that I do that, and I have done it for a long time at this point, probably well over a year, tends to be less issues, less things running in the background, stuff like that. So I do that. But to hit up earlier when you were talking, Matt Long, my gamer score is oh boy, I just added up just a second. So it's 23,058, which I mean it's I think relatively high achievements wise. Yeah, like I said, I don't get to play games like I did in the 360 era. Back then it was renting games, getting all the achievements I could possibly get, playing stupid, silly little games like Doritos Crash Course just to get all the achievements, things like that, which I still have actually, stuff like that. So
I have a question because you say you do a lot of work on your computer and stuff like that.
A lot, yeah.
Do you have a battery backup or like an UPS or I guess a UPS? It's all the same thing. It's just like a battery backup.
No, should I?
I mean, it depends.
Like how
I know a lot of people that if they do a lot of work on stuff like that, because if you're not constantly saving your work, because the idea like a battery backup is, for one, it makes sure you're getting clean power into it and stuff like that. But the idea is, say you like lose power and stuff like that, your computer doesn't shut off or your console doesn't shut off, which is not good for it. It has however long of battery backup, which is enough for you to save your work and shut your PC down.
That I might have to look into. Okay, I might have to look that one up.
It's one of those things, though, just in case, like if you lose, for one of those things, like
I've had it happen losing power.
It's one thing if you're just playing a video game, a lot of those autosave, but like if you're actually doing a lot of work, a battery backup, it's it makes sure you get constant clean energy. You don't have a lot of those fluctuations, but it also makes sure that if you were like lose power, you don't lose any of your work, and your PC doesn't just shut down on you. It gives you time to save what you're doing and power down for, whether it's like 10 minutes or to like an hour or
from $185 all the way up to $1,300. So I might have to do a little more research.
Depends on how big and how long you want it to last and stuff like that. But
yeah,
I know a lot of people like if you do any amount of work on your PC, that's like important for like your job, battery backups are a really important
I'm
thing.
probably gonna have to invest in that because I have had to restart. So there's been some problems. I've had a few instances where we've lost electric and I lost all my progress. It's very
But even a
frustrating.
cheaper
So
one that'll last just long enough for you to save your work and shut down just in case.
yeah, I think I need to probably
Because I
do
do a
that.
lot of I do a lot of work stuff for work on a computer, but the problem is one that's done on a web page. Two, I have a work laptop for it, so there's a battery in it by default.
Yeah,
But any like hard electronics that I've ever worked on for my job, there's always a battery backup that's designed to be able to properly shut stuff down.
yeah, for sure. I
As well as
I
it
think I
also
need to
gives you
invest in that.
constant clean energy. So if you're looking at like the lifespan of your hardware really matters to you. Making sure there's no fluctuations in the power. If you have a good battery bank, it's giving you constant. I guess what you call clean versus like dirty energy and stuff like that. But that's I'm not gonna dig into that.
That's a whole different thing than
Clean and dirty. That has to deal with
what does
the
dirty energy mean exactly?
fluctuation in energy. It's essentially you're not getting a constant. Like say your PC needs like a constant like a 12 voltage or something like that. Clean energy means you're constantly getting 12 voltage. You're getting no fluctuations. Dirty energy would be, you can get small variations to like large variations between it going down to like 10 or going up to like 16, which is not ideal for your hardware.
So that sounds like something I need to invest in. Probably,
But I mean, like
even more so if you have a
the
more expensive like GPU and CPU, right?
I'm not sure, but like ideally your power bank should be doing that for you as well. But a battery backup, not only does it give you a battery, an emergency battery, but it also makes sure you're not getting fluctuations. So say
So
there's
is
like a
a
lightning
UPS is
strike
it
that
like
happens
an
in the area.
upstream of energy? Like, is it? How does it? I guess I'm trying to figure out like the functionality of how it actually works. Is it like upstreaming the energy, like the
Well, no,
voltage
like
and
the
wattage that you're
probably
getting?
the closest thing that we get. First of all, dirty energy just means you're not getting a constant wattage or a voltage essentially. But I guess the idea is, say there's like a lightning strike, like hits a power pole, like a power pole or something like that. Before you lose power, you could get a massive surge of electricity that could essentially fry your the
Oh yeah,
components on
that
your
wouldn't be
computer because
good.
they're very sensitive to that stuff like that. A battery, like a proper UPS that does what it's supposed to, or even just a power strip prevents that voltage that extreme spike from getting to your stuff. It protects your actual hardware from that happening. It's why you should never plug in like a console or like your computer straight into that wall outlet. You should at very least put it into like a power strip.
Yeah, I've got
That
mine
if you
in
get
power
that
strip.
if you get that voltage, it's stopping at the power strip. It's not going into your computer and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I definitely do that. I've got a good power strip too. I spent a lot of money on it. A good monster power strip. It's got like different ports for like green energy, and then like it's got like a variation of plugs for it. So stuff like that. But it's also probably like 8 years old. But I paid a lot for it. I paid almost $200 for it when I bought it new. So
well, we went down a rabbit hole. I know we were talking about before.
yeah, I don't know. It's all right. We're having a really good episode. So
yeah, two other small little things, I guess. Before we get to some of the big stuff, is one, Team Ninja came out and teased some plans for the 30th anniversary. They're going to announce something in 2025. I don't remember if I saw for sure what it was, but they're like, hey, we're gonna tease something because apparently this is their 30th anniversary. Because they've made games like Ninja Gaiden and Dead or Alive and stuff like that. But apparently they're supposed to be having something that comes out later this year. Or at the very least, I don't know if they've announced it yet. I didn't see. I saw that they're going to announce it, but not something like for sure.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I guess I don't. No, you're good.
No, yeah. I just saw that and put it out there. So I guess we should be expecting something from them, as well as there are rumors that a Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion remake could be in the works.
Yeah, I saw a meme that said
that is what they would. It's rumored to be using Unreal Engine 5.
Skyblivion was the meme I saw. They're called
Skyblivion's
Skyblivion.
a mod for Skyrim with essentially remaking Oblivion in the same engine. That was like the one thing I saw that was kind of like.
I would love a Morrowind and Oblivion remake. I think I like Morrowind and Oblivion a lot.
First of all, I find it hard to believe because they say Unreal Engine 5. First of all, Bethesda never used Unreal Engine 5.
Well,
as well as
Unreal Engine 5 isn't particularly good either.
It's an overused engine, and it's
overused
good for first-person
with
shooters.
Problems. It's got problems.
It's not the best engine out there, and I think it would be worse for it than I mean, let's be fair. The creation engine is not the best out there, but it's designed for these games. The Unreal Engine isn't designed for games like this. It works better with like a Call of Duty and stuff like that.
Yeah, but you see with Call of Duty Black Ops 6, like I'm actively playing it, and it has more issues than any Call of Duty I have. I mean, like, because we were streaming it the last time we streamed it, like those issues, those weren't coming from me. I was testing to make sure that everything was good on my end, ping, latency, all of that stuff. Everything was good on my end. It's the game. Okay. It's the game optimization.
Black Ops 6 uses the IW engine, which Infinity Ward made themselves. It's just a different version of it.
Yeah, but it's just an offshoot of Unreal Engine 5, right?
I have no idea.
Okay. Well, could be wrong there, but regardless, it does have issues, and it's talked about by a lot of people. So, we got quite a few comments. How do I even put my desktop to rest? Just go to the Windows icon, power.
Instead of going to shut down, you hit you hit sleep instead. Because you have shut down, sleep, and restart. It's all in the same area.
Rap Sheet said, I've encountered people who never reboot their PC, then wonder why stuff is not working all of a sudden.
Well, it depends on whether they're just leaving it on or they're putting it into rest mode.
True. We got,
as well as after several years, eventually the hardware is gonna die.
Got our first X comments.
Some stuff's designed to be on constantly, so it just depends.
Yeah. Said invest in that, and then also, do you play Pokemon? I love Pokemon, so I play Pokemon. Mark's not.
Just not Scarlet and Violet. I hate those games. They're such poorly designed games.
Pamela said, sounds like going through a hurricane. Definitely use a power strip. DIY Prison Media said, hey guys. Pamela said, Buckeyes are beating the Longhorns 14-7 third quarter. I know it has nothing to do with the topic, but it's Ohio State football. Hey, we were talking about whether anybody cared or not, and chat about about college football or anything.
Matter. Doesn't matter. Michigan beat Ohio State. That's all I care about.
Wild man. What a man, what a wild man.
You know what? I hate the SEC more than Ohio State, so if Ohio State wins, I won't be upset. I won't be too upset.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I haven't been following this year. I mean, I've been following, but I'm not. I did not subscribe to any cable package or anything to watch the game. So everything that I see is after the games or during or tweets or whatever, Yeah. So, Mr. Coffee said, "Damn, that's huge score." The Battle of Toledo.
Yeah. Rap Sheet said, forgot the game was on.
Yeah, game's on. Still going on now.
Pretty much kicked off right before we went live. So.
We're at what, third quarter? I don't know. I'm not.
It's like 5 minutes.
I'm intentionally trying to not pay attention to it so I can focus on the podcast.
There's 3:19 left in the third quarter. Texas is down by 7, and they're 3rd and 7 on Ohio State's 25.
Yeah, sounds about right. All right, well, let's head into the big news because we had a lot of big news this week. We are running on 10-10, but I think we're good, right?
Yeah, no, we're good.
Okay. All right. So one of the, if not the biggest, and besides the Switch 2 stuff that we saw, that is obviously some of it is legitimately real. We can't argue that. Besides that, I would say the biggest discourse and what I'm seeing everywhere, nonstop, on all platforms, is Nvidia announcing the 50 series cards.
Which we all knew was coming.
We knew it was coming, and I actually learned that the 40 series cards were the longest gap of cards from Nvidia. So it was the longest gap we've had between cards. Obviously we got like the super cards later, a year later, but we didn't get a new series of cards. So We've got, I'm just reading from the official NVIDIA website. We've got powered by NVIDIA Blackwell GeForce RTX 50 series GPUs bring game-changing capabilities to gamers and creators. Equipped with a massive level of AI horsepower, the RTX 50 series enables new experiences and next-level graphics fidelity. Multiply performance with NVIDIA DLSS 4, which is crazy. Generate images at unprecedented speed and unleash your creativity with NVIDIA Studio. So we've got some of the finer details. We got NVIDIA Blackwell architecture, the ultimate platform for gamers and creators. We got 5th gen tensor cores, max AI performance with FP4 and DLSS 4. So keep in mind, we are at DLSS 3.5, obviously, with the 40 series. New streaming multiprocessors optimized for neural shaders. 4th gen ray tracing cores built for mega geometry. And some of the other details we got are AI enhanced graphics and performance with multi-frame generation. So right now we have single frame generation. So that's what people are saying is one of the big significant changes besides just DLSS 4 to the 50 series graphics cards. Game-winning responsiveness, NVIDIA Reflex 2 with frame warp, true-to-life graphics, full ray tracing with neural rendering, digital humans and AI assistants with NVIDIA ACE, accelerate your creativity, NVIDIA Studio Creator tools and technology, enhance any video with AI, NVIDIA Broadcast and 9th Gen NVIDIA Encoder, performance and reliability, NVIDIA app with game-ready and studio drivers, the ultimate gaming display technologies with the new NVIDIA G-Sync. So some of the mappers, unfortunately, I don't have a setup where we can show you guys some of the mappers. So we're looking at, Mark, I assume you got the link that I had on there, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at, like, we'll take, for example, what we got? Cyberpunk 2077. We've got double the performance with DLSS 4 and full ray tracing. 2x. We've got just above 2x for, well, significantly above 2x, I guess, for Black Myth Wukong with DLSS and full ray tracing. So we're at below 1x on that, just slightly, and we're above 2x with the, now we're talking the 5090 right now, of course, versus the 4090. So these comparisons are a pretty big jump from the 4090 to the 5090.
Yeah, actually, because they were saying one of the big things was a significant. These new graphics cards are going to be pulling a lot of power. So if you're going to upgrade, you probably have to update it. So the 5070 is spec to pull 650 watts. The 5070 Ti 750 watts. The 5080 850 watts, and the 5090 is pulling 1,000 watts. Like, these are pulling a lot of power.
Yeah.
So if you already have a poorly optimized PC as far as venting, you're gonna have a bigger issue. Like power cooling on these, as well as the CPU, is gonna be a continue. It's always an issue, but these are pulling like a lot more power.
Yeah.
Let me pull up the 46. Save the.
So what I've seen, the 5070 is equivalent to the 4090, essentially, but slightly not as good.
I just want to say, because the 4070 that I have only pulls 200 watts.
Yeah, so that's a huge
and then
jump.
The 4090.
I've got the 4090. I think it pulls what is it, 450 watts?
Yeah, the 4090 is, it's right around 850 watts.
Okay,
on average.
Yeah, so I think unless
you're using the Zotac 24 Trinity, that pulls 1,000 watts. But it's everything's. I think it's the higher end still pulling close. It's a little bit more, but it's the lower end ones that are pulling significantly more.
Yeah,
so
and of course
this for you've got the overhead
Founders Edition. Of course, we don't know, from the other cards manufacturers
but it's pulling like an extra 250 watts on just the lower end cards, which is a significant increase in power draw.
I mean,
which really matters if you're building your own PC and then if you don't have a whole lot of overhead already on your power supply,
Yeah.
then you might have to upgrade it.
But I mean, the jump, and I'm looking at the performance tab right now. The jump is pretty massive. I mean, it's pretty.
I think I say if you're looking at the 4070 with the DLSS, you're looking about on when they looked at like you're looking at like what, about a 30%, depending on the game you're playing, increase. It was like the maximum that people saw was a 30% increase.
Yeah, for the
that's a 30% increase in frame rates.
So
but a lot of the stuff is especially doubling a lot of the performance
that
you were getting from the previous generation. Like it's a significant jump in power, which is mainly being pushed by the AI and the DLSS and stuff.
Yeah, so reading on the DLSS 4, it says supreme speed, superior visuals powered by AI. DLSS is a revolutionary tool of neural rendering technologies that uses AI to boost FPS, reduce latency, and improve image quality. The latest breakthrough, DLSS 4, brings new multi-frame generation and enhanced ray reconstruction, which is a big deal, especially if you care about, if you care about that stuff in video games. It's got super resolution powered by GeForce RTX 50 series GPUs and 5th generation tensor cores. DLSS on GeForce RTX is the best way to play, backed by an Nvidia AI supercomputer in the cloud, constantly improving your PC's gaming capabilities. And I think that's with GeForce now, right? With the cloud, cloud connectivity. So there's some cloud involvement in this as well, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. Also, another big thing was the pricing. So the 5070 is starting at 550, but the 5090 is $2,000.
So what's crazy
that's MSRP, which means it's gonna be scalped for a lot more.
Yeah, MSRP 2000. But what's crazy is the other cards are actually cheaper than when the 40 series cards launched. So
because it's the flagship one, they're probably offsetting the costs with the 5090 to keep the other ones cheaper.
Because obviously everybody's going after the 5090.
Most average consumers aren't getting the higher end one. You're dealing with more industry is going to be getting the 5090, they're buying in bulk and stuff like that on top of a few scalpers. Because to be fair, the 5070 to 5080, based off the return on investment for the performance for the cost, you don't need the 5090 if you're just playing video games, and especially if you're not playing at like max settings constantly. At like 4K, you don't necessarily need the 50. Like you can be just fine with the 5070 and stuff like that.
I mean,
to be fair, because a lot of people are going to be getting the 5090
8K with the 4090 with No Man's Sky, which is kind of crazy.
Like, let's be fair. A lot of people that are going to be going after the 5090 are going to be people that a lot of people that are doing like video rendering and stuff like that. Stuff that you're probably going to be benefiting far more from the actual hardware.
I will say this: I am going after the 5090, and a lot of it has way less to do with video games than it does with it. For me, it would be a big deal when it comes to video, especially with my job. But then talking about Game Junction, and then gaming is a plus when it comes to that. So it's something I'm looking into. I think I'm going to try to get one. We'll see. I mean, scalpers are going to be all over it. We know how the 4090 launch was a nightmare, if I remember correctly. And at the time, I was paying attention to it, but I wasn't even in the PC. I mean, I didn't even have a PC yet. I had my laptop. So I remember the 4090 launch was a nightmare for people. And it took well over, it was like the PS5. It took like probably a year and a half before. And even right now, like they're still being sold above MSRP. So like the 5090 is not going to be any different. You know what I mean? I mean, they're still being sold. Like to find it at MSRP, you're lucky to find it at MSRP. They're sold out everywhere at MSRP. Pretty much what you
have to expect not to.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty crazy. Let's see, what else can we say on the 50 series here? So,
I mean, it'll be interesting once they actually, you get them out and people can start reviewing them and stuff like that. Or I'm sure some people have already gotten access to reviews.
Yeah, there's Digital Foundry's already been able to or
I think
Linus Tech
Linus Tech
Tips.
Tips.
Yeah,
I think I saw. I haven't watched it, but I think he posted a video in the
I
past
watched
few days.
𝐒𝐴𝐵 reaction to Linus Tech Tips video. Yeah, it was interesting stuff for sure. I definitely am highly intrigued on the jump from, like, say, the 4090 to the 5090, because I mean, based on the stats that they're giving us, it's a pretty significant jump.
But like, let's be fair. These are stats from Nvidia, so you want to see the actual people in the industry start benchmarking these. Cause let's be fair, Nvidia is gonna probably be optimizing all the hardware that they're making stats with, as well as you don't know exactly the some of the settings and stuff like that. We know some of what they're telling us, but you don't know everything else. So you want, like, what's it, there's another computer. It's like Tom's Hardware and stuff like that. It's one of the big sites that'll do a lot of benchmarking for these.
Yeah,
Actually seeing proper benchmarking from the people in the industry, you'll be better off wanting to get those and comparing those differences and stuff like that before you would actually want to make a purchase outright. Just like, let's just be fair. Nvidia is going to be biased in wanting their stuff to look as better because they want you to upgrade because it financially benefits them. So actually getting people in the industry that are doing proper and widespread benchmarking across the spectrum with different hardware setups is going to be really what you want to look for, as far as like how accurate are some of these benchmarks that NVIDIA's come out and telling us. So you always want to take these with a grain of salt until people that unbiased sources are going to be testing these, comparing them to, some of like the Ryzen and stuff like that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's good to see other people's opinions who don't necessarily have any stake in the in the game. So definitely there's going to be more and more stuff coming up, building up to it. Like, Linus got to check it out. I imagine 100% Digital Foundry is going to be able to dive super deep into it.
I just want to
They're
wait and see how
resource for like benchmark tools for all gaming. Like, they are the only channel I know of that put the PS5 Pro to the test, down to the smallest of details where people would not care about it, but people do care about it. There are people that care about that stuff. And so yeah, I mean, Escalated Friend said, I'm buying a 5090 day one. Mark, are you upgrading?
I've only had my 4070 for a little over a year, so not anytime soon.
Wonder what the good
I only
jump for you.
I only game at 1440p, so
yeah.
It's just not worth the price. It'll be a few years before I upgrade my PC again.
And I think for you, it might make more sense to hold off anyway, just in case. But
and if I was gonna get something, I'd probably be looking like the 5070 Ti. It'd probably be right around what I'd get.
Yeah,
like, I'm not gonna get. I don't need a 5090. I'm not. I don't need a game at that high level.
You don't. Yeah. You don't work from your computer a lot either, and stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of other reasons besides.
I mean,
gaming,
I work on
like,
a computer.
I have 1440p monitors myself, so like the 4K thing to me, I want to have a 4K monitor to have a 4K monitor, because I mean, like, there are most of the time I care more about performance, usually with video games. So to me, that normally doesn't matter. But there are some games, like, say in Stellar Blade, I would actually, for that, probably prefer to play that in like 4K than I would care as much about performance. Now, if I'm playing like a competitive Marvel Rivals, Call of Duty, I don't care about the 4K at all. I care about performance all the way, frame rates. That's what matters to me there. But
I don't have a single display that does more than 1440p.
I don't either.
My 1440p monitor is my desktop. My TV only does like 1080p.
I can do really, really high frame rates, but I mean, like, very few games can even reach the frame rates that my.
I'd rather have higher frame rates over 4K. I'd rather play at 1080p with like maxed out.
I have found one game, because I have a 480 hertz monitor. I found one game to be able to run it basically max, which was Doom Eternal, which is really cool. I mean, it's like it's a
good optimized game. Then
it's a different experience. It almost feels like it's different playing at that high of a frame rate. It just feels. I don't even know how.
And there are some games that might give you like 200 frames, but anything above 60, you're just not really seeing, to be fair.
Yeah, for sure. Gamers Nexus is a great technical source for these PC parts. Their breakdowns are for uber hardcore PC gamers. Yeah, that's a good. can't say I necessarily watch them that much. They pop up every now and again in my feed. I don't know too much about them, but I've watched some videos here and there. All right, what do we got next, Mark? I think we're jumping in Switch 2 stuff, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was just getting stuff pulled up real quick, just to make sure I have it. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So obviously they say Nintendo. Yeah, unsurprisingly, Nintendo didn't really mention anything at CES. I don't think this was ever a realistic thing. They were never going to launch the Switch 2.
They did the Game Boy.
The Switch 2 specifically, like if you were expecting any kind of like announcement around CES, you were smoking something.
Yeah,
it was never going to happen.
Nintendo
was always going to do this stuff in house with their directs,
and they always do a direct in January anyway. So it's like I did not expect.
It's only January 10th, so you have like another 3 weeks before you to get an announcement. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't know if there's anything a whole lot about this other than the fact that they didn't come out and say anything, but none of us were expecting this to happen. So
well, I guess diving into the other Switch 2 stuff. So we've got first we got a Switch 2.
Is this the leak or the rumor around Red Dead Redemption 2 coming?
Well,
to
that
Switch
was one of them. Yeah. So what was kind of interesting about that is that it's rumored. So that game runs. I don't know if you know that, but it runs at 30 FPS on console. So
I haven't played it in years. I mean, it came out on the PS4, Xbox One era, so that wouldn't surprise me too much.
Yeah, it runs at 30 FPS. So it's rumored to be coming to Switch 2 running at 60 frames per second. Which is, I mean,
seems too good to be true. If it's running on consoles at 30, I would expect it to run at 30.
I want to say that to an extent, but then I'm like, 60 frames is nothing now. Like, I don't.
But like, to be fair, if this is equivalent to the console it came out on, which is PS4, I'd expect it to run equivalent to the PS4, which is, if it's running at 30 FPS, it's probably what you're going to get on this.
The only thing I'll say to that is that PS4 didn't have DLSS, which is going to boost frame rate.
Don't know how much that does and how optimized the game is. I wouldn't hang your hat that you're going to get an extra 30 frames just on DLSS alone.
Well, we also got a rumored speculated release date for May 2024. So, I mean, I said April, you said May, if I remember correctly from last week, right?
May makes sense if they're going to announce it this month. If they don't announce them as this month, May, you realistically, you want probably a solid 6 months. You need a solid 6 months of promo from announcement to release. I just think anything less is just not, like 3 months is not enough time to properly promo this console from announcement to release.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about
May
the
make
6 months. I think you need at least 4 months, but I mean, 6 months is ideal. It's ideal for sure. Like you need to have.
We won't know for sure until they come out and announce it. So,
and then we got a tweet. No, this was about the backward compatibility, so we know about that. So that's some old news there. Okay, yeah. So here was the some of the big stuff that popped up just today. So, or yesterday, I guess technically, Japan time. Accessory manufacturer Genki recently posted the most plausible and extensive look at the Nintendo Switch 2 yet. So you can look this up. The Genki accessory maker, which has also leaked stuff before in the past. No surprise. Genki posted extensive look at the Nintendo Switch 2. The accessory manufacturer quietly launched a new page on its website, hyping up its Switch 2 products, which shows what Nintendo's next console supposedly looks like via a convincing mock-up. Nintendo Switch news has heated up in recent weeks as bits and pieces of it has supposedly leaked via production line photos. So yeah, I mean, based on like what they're showing, very plausible, very believable. It's pretty much what I would expect the Switch 2 to look like. I mean, slightly bigger.
It's a slightly altered Switch, yeah.
Yeah, slightly altered. Nothing's changed dramatically. You've got a bigger screen. This is what I imagine it looking like. And if they're showing rendered photos for their products they're designing ahead of time to sell right at launch. I mean, it kind of makes sense if you ask me. So that definitely makes sense. And then according to Central Leaks, a popular source for Pokemon related rumors, the next gen Switch will have a 12 gigabyte RAM and 256 gigabytes of internal storage.
Shout out, Matt Long said he had to go. So hey, you have a good weekend, man.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. We appreciate it. So that's a big jump over the 4 gigabytes of RAM in the Switch 1. It'll come with an 8-inch display, HDMI 2.1 support, so that means it'll support VRR and all that jazz. 2 USB-C supports, magnetic controller attachments, upgraded SL and SR buttons, dual cooling fans, a 𝐒𝐸𝐚𝐥 CPU, and GPU 𝐒𝐫𝐚𝐥 whatever that means. And then a few other specs that I'm not sure what they mean, but it will also include a gigabit Ethernet chip. So that confirms basically our our port there. So if it supports gigabit internet, my assumption is yes, they are going to want this to be a more accessible online multiplayer machine too.
Well, it also pretty much just guarantees that it's going to have a wired connection. It's going to actually have a proper Ethernet port on the docked version. You're not getting gigabit on Wi-Fi. You're not coming.
No way, no way.
And even if you were going to come close to it, that means you have a really expensive Wi-Fi router.
Yeah, but even then, even with I mean, I've looked at like $800 Wi-Fi routers, and you're still looking at like running at like, I mean, it's good, but like 600 megabits per second versus like I said, plugged in. I was just checking, like I'm running 910 upload, 920 download, plugged in. I mean, that's a 300 megabits per second. It's a pretty big difference. So you're spending $800 on a router. I say just plug it in. That's how I feel about it.
That's also taking into account how much of your default internet, how good your internet that you're getting anyway is.
Yeah, true. And then, so I'm trying to find, because I saw this was a GameStop leak. See if I can find it real quick, because we don't have it in our notes.
Yeah, it's like I didn't see that at all. So
well, supposedly in their system, okay, so here it is. Nintendo stays completely silent amid flood of Switch 2 leaks at GameStop and CES 2025. So basically, this has to do with are you aware of the new micro SD card expresses? They are essentially the equivalent of an SSD. They run at speeds of an SSD. So they're new.
No, I haven't.
So this supposedly their system popped up with a bunch of, you can look at the images online. There's a bunch of websites. Just type it in. Just GameStop Switch 2. 50 articles popped up. But basically, it popped up with the new micro SD card expresses that are running at SSD-like speed. So there's essentially no load times in these. So they're still going to use micro SD cards, but they're a recently released micro SD card that run at very high speeds that are meant to be for the Switch 2 and for gaming, rather than, like your standard micro SD card. So that leaked across their system. It was up for not very long after somebody took that picture and showed it in the system. Obviously, they probably got a phone call from Nintendo, and it got taken down, and then was flooded with a bunch of like fake listings for what was going to be the Switch 2 stuff. So that was basically saying this included a micro SD card and 256 gigabyte, 512 gigabyte configurations, and as well as the dedicated Joy-Con charger grip for the Switch 2. So not just the regular one, the one that has the USB-C connection port for the make it actual controller. So yeah, that happened as well. Yeah, there's a bunch of Switch 2 stuff. I know that we're missing stuff because there's so much that's coming out that it's very hard to keep up. Like you've got to really be on the ball, and it's definitely definitely hard. It looks like Texas OSU tied up 14. Nice. Mark loves
Thanks
that.
for keeping us updated.
Thanks for letting us know. All right, so next we've got. I know you're gonna be a little bit disappointed about this one, Mark.
Oh yeah, completely.
Assassin's Creed Shadows
Devastated.
gets delayed again to March 20th, 2025. Here's their full public statement. Dear players, we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to our incredible fans and dedicated teams for your unwavering support since our announcement in September to further refine and polish this game. Since November, we've been thrilled to share our progress through gameplay overviews, and the overwhelming excitement has truly inspired us. Each week has brought valuable feedback from our community. While we've already made remarkable strides, we believe a few additional weeks are needed to implement the feedback and ensure an even more ambitious and engaging day one experience. Accordingly, the new release date is March 20th, 2025. We remain committed to delivering a high-quality, immersive experience fostered by ongoing dialogue between our players and development teams. We know you're eager to learn more about Assassin's Creed Shadows, and we're excited to share that more updates will be coming your way very soon. Mark Alexis Cote on behalf of all teams working on Assassin's Creed Shadows.
All I heard was a bunch of PR slop. They didn't say anything other than the game's delayed for like another month because, well, we suck at game development. This means that when this game was supposed to launch, it would have launched in an absolute mess of a state. If they essentially need like another 6 months of development time on this game.
Well, there is some fun to come out of this this
continue
announcement
to rip on Ubisoft more.
Yeah, Domino's Pizza. This is official too. You can look this up. Domino's Pizza replied to their tweets and said, "Call us if you need help delivering on time."
That's a pretty good burn. I'm not gonna
That's
lie.
really good. But then Ubisoft replied. God, I didn't save the reply from Ubisoft. Oh yeah, on X, Assassin's Creed, the account said, Altar waiting for his pizza since 12:57. It shows him dead.
I don't
hilarious.
Think
I love when companies that have nothing to do with anything related to it. Yeah, they rip on them like hardcore.
But to be fair, you see this and you're like, based off what happened with the with Dragon Age, which I thought was going to sell a lot better, I wouldn't be surprised if this game, struggles to sell and it just becomes like the death of Ubisoft as you know it.
Yeah,
if this game doesn't sell well, that's 3 games that sold terrible within a year, and that's not good.
Yeah, I mean, I said it before the show, but I think this kind of this is either a nail in the coffin for Ubisoft, or this is okay launch and people like it, and all the issues were, kind of whatever development issues.
The problem is, I'm curious how many people, kind of like Dragon Age, have already written this game off and they just have zero interest in it, regardless of what it does.
I've pretty much written it off, and the thing is, it sucks, is that I like the era, I like samurai games, like this is the Assassin's Creed that I would want, like the time period. Like
but there's better games that have come out recently, and there's another game that's going to come out. In that same
Yotai is coming out, so I'm like, I don't really
care. Ghost of Yotai and Ghost of Tsushima just does it, and it's a stealth game that.
And there's still like
stealthy.
Rise of Ronin, which I still got to play. I've got that, and I haven't played that yet, and that's supposedly pretty good. And so I'm like, not like, right, there's other games to play, but it's like,
this game is like a decade too late, realistically.
I don't know,
because other people have come in and filled this void with good games. The problem is it's got other games like Ghost of Tsushima is such a good game. Like, will this game be better than that? Both narratively and the way the game plays. It essentially does Assassin's Creed better. That in fact, you have the other slot that Ubisoft has in their game, which is a point direction. It's like, oh, icon a thon on their map or whatever you want to call it. Like,
unlock all the towers.
Way too many points of interest. Way too many, map tower unlocks and stuff like that. It's kind of like a pain. That's like a staple of all their games.
I feel like this is not going to do anywhere near as good as Valhalla did, because regardless of I mean, I enjoyed the game. I thought Valhalla was great. You didn't really care for it.
Valhalla also had, I didn't care for it. It also had zero drama, unlike this game.
I like the whole Viking theme too. So just like the samurai stuff, I like the theming of it. And but the problem with it was where there was too much going on. Like I love an open world game. That's like become my genre.
Too many things to do at times.
There's too much.
Could be way too packed.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like when I was playing.
And when
Odyssey,
your map is showing nothing but crap all over it, it's like
all I'm here to do. It's like, oh, there's a million things to do, but there's really not a lot to do. It's just filler content to some degree.
Yeah,
it can be a problem. And to be fair, the last 2 games Ubisoft put out were subpar. In Outlaws and Skull and Bones, it does not leave any confidence that this game's gonna do it. It's just gonna play better than those games. So
yeah, it doesn't leave much confidence for sure. Mr. Coffee said if the game launches with any bugs or glitches, the game is going to be roasted. There's blood in the water, and a lot of people are circling it, looking for any reason to sink it.
Social media content is just waiting for this game to do something wrong, and they're going to jump all over. Like that's what a lot of gaming content is. But then again, the industry's teed that up for people to just go after them. So it's kind of like a problem of their own making.
Personally, I think the game is going to have a huge problem being sold internationally. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, like it used to be. This is how it used to be. It used to be Call of Duty, Assassin's Creed. Like any other game had to schedule their game around those games. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like those were the big games. Those were the games.
You're talking 360 era games, and then that era of game.
Like you did not want your game launching the same week that a Call of Duty or a Assassin's Creed was launching, because it was so big.
Or even like a Madden or like a FIFA or something like that, because regardless, those games still sold very, very well.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely gone downhill, and then like we've already got confirmation that they're remaking Black Flag, and then Yakuza is very openly making like their version of Black Flag 2, which could do it better. Because Yakuza,
I'll say this, to be fair,
I mean, like a Dragon, sorry, but
remakes can do well, but they're never gonna. When you re-release a game, it's just never gonna sell the same as it did the first time.
I think they
the
realize
remake might be
that
and it might be good, but it's it's a coat of paint on an old game, and people see that. So only hardcore fans are really going to go after like a Black Flag remake. Compared to if you had like a brand new game.
I think they realize too now that Black Flag was probably peak Assassin's Creed.
They did peak there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was arguably, while not my favorite, probably my second favorite, because I liked Valhalla a lot. It had its issues, and Black Flag had its issues too, like some performance stuff. But I think that arguably amongst the fans, like Black Flag is easily the top game for the franchise.
Yeah.
So I think that Like a Dragon doing what it's doing and being very openly saying, "Oh, Skull and Bones completely failed at taking the concept of Black Flag. We'll step in. We make good games." It
doesn't have this baggage and this bad reputation that Ubisoft as a whole is built. People are just gonna be like, "Oh, I'll just get that game instead. I don't need a remake."
Which I'm like legitimately really excited for that Like a Dragon game.
Let's be fair,
I've got the
remake
collector's edition pre-ordered.
Going back and playing old games are fun, but you want to play a new game with a new experience sometimes. So new games are always going to do better than remakes. Like it's just a reality. Like if you had to pick between those games, like, well, I played this game. This is new.
Yeah, well, it's got to be.
It's got a new take on it. Let me give it a shot.
It's got to be a remake, not a glorified remaster. Like it's got to be, like when I say remake, I mean things like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth or
games
remake,
like 20, 25 years old.
Where no, it's not just like a beat for beat remake where it's like, no, we're doing new things to these games. Like
Ubisoft is gonna do new stuff in that game. There's gonna
that's
ship it out the door.
I mean, like, are we even going to make it to a Black Flag remake? Because if this doesn't do well, like this doesn't spell good news. We saw that the Star Wars Outlaws stuff really did them in. Like that was not good. What a mess that was. Skull and Bones.
To be fair, it really started with Skull and Bones. It was not what people wanted.
Come out and say a quadruple A game, make up your own term. Like, are you an idiot?
Problem was, you were expecting a more in-depth Black Flag, and you got a bare bones Black Flag. Like, it's so much you can't do. It's like, how do you look at this and say, yeah, they love Black Flag, they'll absolutely love this game? You don't even do it. It's just like a simulator, if anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Escalated Friend said I love old games too. I mean, I do too, but yeah, it's one of those
you look
things
at
where
the
it's
industry as a whole. I mean, most people want to play new games and have new experiences.
Yeah.
So I'm talking more just industry trends as a whole.
All right, what do we got next, Mark?
This is one of the things we talked about because we have no idea how this is going to affect gaming long term. But essentially the U.S. Department of Defense came out and declared Tencent a Chinese military company, essentially, which then adds blacklisting to that company for certain things. So this could have for companies that Tencent's invested in, could have potential long-term effects as far as it, either certain studios are not allowed to do certain things in the U.S. or certain investments, Tencent's not allowed to invest in certain companies and stuff like that, or potentially Tencent products might not be allowed to be sold in the U.S. or in other companies.
Tencent.
So this came out. Yeah, I think or any Chinese game, Tencent has their fingers, and this came out on the 6th, and this is we have no idea what this is the potential ramifications of this are going to be. Because I'm not going to go into it, but obviously there was a presidential election, about to have a new president come into office in the U.S. and stuff like that. But if something like this was to be permanent, it could cause ripples in the industry, because Tencent's a massive company and they have their hands in a lot of games studios and stuff like that. So this is just one of those things where it's like to watch. I mean, we were talking about before the whole TikTok stuff. If that goes forward, that's going to have impacts and stuff like that moving forward. If it gets banned off of mobile stores and stuff like that, this could have a potentially the same thing and stuff like that. So I think it's and in the immediate, it has zero impact. But in 2 years, if this was to stay and stuff like that, or there's opinions change, this could have a very interesting impacts on the game industry.
Yeah,
even just from a funding aspect. So it's it'll be interesting to watch and see. It's kind of where I was at on that.
I still don't quite understand how.
None of us do.
Well,
the idea is it's a Tencent's more than just a game. They're like an IT industry essentially. But they deal with games. Tencent Gaming is like a subset of the Tencent. So the idea is, the U.S. government, the DoD, sees them as an adversary or a company that's directly controlled or helps a adversary. So we are just going to blacklist you as a whole. We don't want you doing business or limiting what you can and can't do with U.S. companies, because we see you as a liability, a potential threat to what we do. But how this actually affects the average everyday user, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're gonna go after this and be like, I don't know why you're doing this. Take us off this blacklist. But I just think it's an interesting thing, because we do know Tencent's a massive a player in the games world.
Yeah.
So watching this moving forward will be really interesting to see.
Yeah, I'll definitely be interested to see the development of this, because I don't really know what to say or kind of think of it, because
it's kind of hard, because we don't really know how this is really going to impact stuff. Like, this just happened, but you're talking about stuff that you're dealing with government, so stuff moves slow.
Yeah.
But I mean, you talk about the TikTok thing. That's like a whole thing took like 2 years to be implemented. That's like at the end of this month that goes into play if it doesn't get overturned. So
right.
It'll be interesting to see how this has an impact, as well as how much are they really investing in like, say, U.S. gaming communities and stuff like that? Do they have like a big player, Nintendo, Sony, and stuff like that? It'd be interesting to see if they have to they can't do certain things with companies if they're a big funder, that could affect some of these companies as well. So
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
This will be something, as we move into like later in 2025 and 2026, it'll be interesting to see how that actually has potential long-term effects.
Yeah, I definitely interested to see what happens of this. I mean, I don't really know what to say at this point, but I mean, something's going to happen for sure. So, all right, looks like
yeah. Sorry, 𝐒𝐸𝐚. That's for me to know and nobody else to know.
what is it?
We're not directly talking politics. This just happened.
Yeah, we don't do all that.
We're not going down that route. It just so that's why I was being vague. It just so happens. It's just the topic overlaps. So
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not going down that route.
No thanks. So we got apparently Xbox next generation console has been confirmed will be the largest technical leap in a hardware generation. So it says Xbox is not exiting the hardware market anytime soon, as the company announced that it has a multi-year roadmap that includes a next generation Xbox in the future. During the latest, so they say. During the latest episode of the official Xbox podcast, focusing on the future business of Microsoft's gaming arm, Xbox President Sarah Bond, addressed the role hardware plays in Xbox's future. Bond concurred with an earlier statement by Xbox head Phil Spencer. The Xbox hardware would remain the flagship experience for players, despite the company's plans to go multi-platform moving forward. Bond teased Xbox has some exciting stuff coming out in hardware that the company plans to share this holiday. More interestingly, Bond teased a roadmap focused on next generation hardware. And this is a quote. And what we are focused on there is delivering the largest technical leap you will ever have seen in a hardware generation, which makes it better for players and better for creators and the visions they're building, Bond explained in the recent episode of the official Xbox podcast. Although Bond did specify that this hardware news would entail leaked documents published last year revealed that Microsoft is planning to launch hardware refreshes for both the Xbox Series Xbox Series X and S this year. So this is talking about as far as the refresh, not the big hardware jump for the next generation, but the Project Brooklyn, which we knew about and we've talked about, I think probably 2 or 3 times. The adorably all digital Xbox. This is a sphere-like Xbox that has no disk drive and no place for a disk drive attachment.
You know what? Sorry, I just want to say, you know what would be better instead of calling it like take a cue from what I don't remember what cereal company did, but it's instead of it calling the cute, it's like oops, all digital Xbox. Like that'd be some good advertising. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what's crazy, man, is that and I bought it ahead of time, so I bought it before I got the PS5 Pro. I already knew I wanted to, because I have such a massive physical PS5 library. Like if I can buy it physical, I buy it physical. The disc drives for the PS5 Pro are still selling out consistently. Like they're still being
people
scalped.
Want the physical because nobody wants this all digital console.
That's the crazy thing. Like, what are they not getting? I mean, PlayStation has to be getting the message that these can't be kept in stock anywhere. They're being scalped and sold on eBay for high prices. And
we don't care what you want. People want that. Like if you go full next console, there's no physical disc drive. Like this just kind of proves there's going to be massive backlash. People are not unhappy with it.
At that point, I feel like a lot of people are just going to end up moving to PC because I mean that's
like if I'm going to go all digital anyways, I might as well just buy a PC.
Right.
At the very least, you can get games for dirt cheap.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Project Brooklyn supposedly supposed to launch at the $500 price point, which is how much the Series X is, and be substantially more. It says Brooklyn will deliver 4K Gen 9 console gaming with more internal storage, faster Wi-Fi, reduced power, more immersive controller, and a beautiful redesign that elevates the all-digital experience of the Xbox ecosystem. Reduced PSU power by 15%. New low-power standby mode is 20% of currents. Increased use of PCR housing to 30%. And then 100% recyclable packaging. I don't even know. So, I mean, like, it's good news that they're saying they're not dropping out the hardware game, because I don't think that's good.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. But I mean, like, things change with these companies so quick that it's like, it's so hard to tell. I mean, they lie. I mean, even Nintendo, like, these companies lie all the time to.
Yeah, they're not going to come out and tell you their plans until they're ready. It's on their timetable. And they came out and said that
they straight up lie. Like, Nintendo has been notorious for that too. All these companies have just straight up lied to us, and they're not going to tell us all their plans. So it's like, I don't know. Like, I hope that they don't completely drop out of the hardware game, because, like I said, that leaves very little competition in the console space. When it comes to just being, if it were just Nintendo and just Sony, like, there's no, to me, that's not a competition, because Nintendo kind of stands on its own to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're trying to, they're obviously not trying to directly compete with the PS5 Pro or the PS6 when that comes out. They're not trying to. They're doing their own thing. They've got a hybrid console. Nobody else is doing that right now. I'm sure there's PlayStation Portal. Sure, Xbox is. They
those are kind of
like handheld.
They're like half-assed, attempts at like a handheld.
I do think the Xbox handheld is going to be a big deal, because they've got the they did confirm it. And I think that this.
But are they going to go the affordable route, or they be like, oh, this is.
No, I think they're going to go the high-end route. Which
limits the amount of people that are actually going to go that route.
Yeah.
Nintendo's not going to go that higher. I can't imagine them charging $500-$600 for a handheld.
I feel like they're going to try to surpass the Asus ROG Ally X, and we already know that an Asus ROG Ally 2 is on the way. So, and then the Lenovo, which we're getting ready to hit up the CES announcements, but we already know that there's a new Lenovo handheld coming out, which is very, very powerful. Also very expensive. So they're targeting like the high end route, is my assumption with Xbox. That's because they did the same thing with Series X for a while till the PS5 Pro came out. It was the more powerful console technically. Specs wise, it was just barely a more powerful console. And they've always been the company that wants to be the more powerful console, but like at the end of the day, if you don't have games, that doesn't mean crap.
Yeah, that's the problem. Their first-party game selection is why nobody's buying your console.
Like, sure, you can have a powerful console, but if you don't have the games to play on it, then what's the point? So, I don't know, but I guess we're going to jump into the CES stuff here. There was a lot that got announced there. I'm trying to kind of scroll through what was so the Lenovo Legion Go S brings Steam OS outside of the Steam Deck, which is really, really cool. I think actually, like, very smart move, if you ask me. I mean, to be able to play all your Steam games on a handheld that's more powerful than Steam Deck OLED, which we do know the Steam Deck 2 is coming out, but that Valve is allowing these companies to be able to run their operating system on these other handhelds. I think it's a very smart move.
Well, I think it keeps them in their own ecosystem, and it benefits them, because Valve's been in the software space for forever.
Yeah, for a very long time.
Even if it's not their hardware, well, you're buying products on their platform, which directly profits them, because they get like a 30% cut on stuff on their platforms. So like, why not run your operating system that just keeps people in the Steam ecosystem?
Yeah, it says announced during CES, this will be the first gaming handheld not from Valve to use Steam OS. It'll have Windows versions too, but starting in May, you'll be able to get it with the operating system I love so much. Even better, it does look to offer specs with a slight to moderate improvement on the Steam Deck and its starting price of $500. So this is a mid-range handheld, I would say, because the Asus ROG Ally, I think, is like almost $800.
Yeah, that's like the high end. Pretty much,
Yeah.
you're getting close to $1,000.
Yeah.
I just think eventually you need different tiers, and you need these handhelds to come down in price if you want to sell more of them, like closer to like the $500-$600 range eventually. Especially the more of these are out, the cheaper the technology becomes, and you can just have a lower and a higher end tier essentially.
Yeah, for sure. And then we got
let's be fair, it's a handheld. There's some trade off going from like a PC to a handheld. You expect that. You just need the average consumer one to be far more affordable.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We've got. So we got the Acer Nitro Blaze 11, which is the biggest gaming handheld. Says while it means it's not necessarily the most convenient, there's a certain maximal joy to being able to carry it around. With so much room, it's packing some impressive specs. But what really takes the cake is its 11-inch display, 2560 by 1600 display. It gets bright. It comes with a sturdy kickstand. It can display up to 120 frames per second. It's also surprisingly lightweight at 2.3 pounds. That's a pound heavier than the Steam Deck, but compared to a laptop, it's still reasonable. So that was.
You're not holding it like a laptop, but that's like the one thing that screen is massive for a handheld.
That's it.
To the point where it's starting to become
huge.
impractical as hard, but with how big it is. Like after a while, it's not easy to transport. What's the point?
Yeah, that's a big screen, dude.
Yeah, I saw that. I'm like, I don't know. That might be just too big of a screen for a handheld. It's only too big. Like, yeah, but sometimes it's just bulky, and you just want something that's smaller.
Yeah, that's
say what you want about the Switch. It's not overly bulky. It's about the size that you want. You just,
Yeah, I think the Switch 2 is going to do it about right, where you get a little bit, because like I could use a little bit more of a screen. You know what I mean? Like
slightly bigger. You'd expect it to be a little
2 inches
in the
bigger, but
upgrade to the hardware and stuff. But yeah, you don't want something that becomes, something you want something easy that you can throw in like a bag or a backpack and carry around.
For sure. I mean, we're past the Game Boy. Well, you got like the Chromatic and the analog pocket and stuff for those actual like pocket size little handhelds and stuff.
But how many people play on a phone and it doesn't have the biggest screen, but it's big enough to do what you need on it?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of
it's
mobile
just
players
optimizing your games to work on a screen of that size instead of like a TV.
Yeah, for sure. Well, do we have anything else that you wanted to bring up for this week?
No, I think we've good. I mean, it's been a while since we've hit close to 3 hours. So
yeah, for sure.
There's just so much to talk about.
Appreciate all the 193 people that are still in here hanging out with us. Yeah,
we ran it early on for like a half hour on some random stuff, so that didn't help. But
hey, it was good though.
Keeps podcast interesting.
Yeah, it was a good episode though. I enjoyed it. Good stuff.
Yeah, there was just a lot to talk about this week. So
yeah, appreciate it. We really appreciate everybody tuning in and hanging out. I know most of you aren't chatting there on the X side. A lot of people there, which is really cool to see. With trying out Restream, we wanted to see how it was again for a month to see if be anything any different. Seems like a good way to go now. I seems a little bit different than the last time we used it. So, what do we got coming up?
I'm not sure, to be honest. I've had a lot of other stuff that's preventing me from doing anything.
So tomorrow we've got tomorrow we're streaming Marvel Rivals. I do know that at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Anime Junction Cast. Is that coming out Sunday still, or
it should? Delayed a whole week, but I just had other stuff that prevented me from doing stuff on getting that out on time. So other than that, I don't have a whole lot because my work life.
You heard it here first. Mark's canceling the Anime Junction Cast.
No. But hey, other than the other thing, we're back to we're ahead an episode again just because I was delayed on getting the other one out. So
yeah. Well, I mean, we're gonna be talking about some Gundams, so I'm kind of excited about that because it's been a while with Gundam for me. So I'm always excited to check out or revisit, some of these and check out some of the new stuff as well and stuff like that. So we do, we kind of cover a little bit of everything, I think. So
wait on next week to where I can finally start, It'll be new. It'll be episode 3, but it'll be a new episode of solo leveling for me. So
well,
this is
go
episode
ahead.
2, but I already watched the first 2. So
go ahead and watch the original Godzilla, because I think we need to try to film that at some point this week. It's going to take us 1 hour. I mean, I'm sure we can fit it in an hour somewhere to film it. 1 hour, talk about the movie. That'll be our first episode. So yeah, plan on doing that. And then yeah, I'm not sure video wise. I've been behind as well. Unfortunately, work's been really, really busy. We had all the stuff with snow, daughter being home, so I've not had a chance to even film anything yet. I don't have a script or anything, or I don't know what I'm filming yet. So something will be out soon, but I just don't know what yet. So unfortunately, I've also been behind getting a video out on YouTube. But you know, hopefully the streaming and the podcasting and stuff makes up for that and all that. So, and then, you know, every Monday I put out stream schedule. Unfortunately, Mark is not going to be streaming every Sunday now. So we'll just plan on, if he can fill something in or whatever, do a pop-up stream or something like that. Maybe he can do that. And then I'm going to attempt to try to do, you know, a stream here and there through the week. Again, for me, it's like, I know day of typically. So
I don't think that sucks. So,
but hey, you know, using Restream and stuff now too with it might not be so bad. So it might be the way to go. Got to make sure you're signed in and good to go. Like, if you do a pop-up stream for an hour or something like that, it shouldn't be too hard to do. So try to do that and stuff here and there. But yeah, again, like I said, we'll be live for people watching live right now. We'll be live tomorrow, streaming Marvel Rivals, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then for our audio listeners, we are live with the podcast every Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as well as a stream of something every single Saturday, same time. So appreciate everybody watching. Hope everybody has a great night, and we'll see you all later.